Chapter 115. Token? What token? Lin Mu and Fang Han were at a loss. I didn't see it. Bastard. The scholarly middle-aged man's face turned green as he anxiously roared, You trash think you can deceive me? I advise you to quickly hand over the token. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. Lin Mu was young and impulsive. The middle-aged man's attitude made him feel very dissatisfied. We really don't know what you're talking about. Don't say that we haven't seen any token. Even if we have, why should we give it to you? Bang. The scholarly middle-aged man turned into a blur as he pounced forward and punched Lin Mu's face. Lin Mu did not have time to react and was sent flying several feet away. His entire face swelled up and he spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. His eyes revealed a trace of shock. Fang Han angrily charged forward. What right do you have to hit people? The middle-aged man's lightning-fast punch landed on his abdomen, causing Fang Han to fall to the ground. You wild cultivators, listen carefully. The scholarly middle-aged man's white face turned red from anger. Let me tell you, I am Dragon Sword Young Master Chu Xinghe's housekeeper, Chu Tungwen. The token is what Dragon Sword Young Master wants. If you dare to hide it, just wait for your family to be exterminated. The head of the Central State 4 Young Masters, Chu Xinghe? When the two of them heard Chu Xinghe's name, their expressions instantly changed. They were originally filled with anger, but they immediately swallowed their anger. How would we dare to take Heavenly Sword Young Master's things? We really didn't see it. But before he finished, Chu Tungwen slapped him, causing him to fall to the ground. Heavenly Sword Young Master's reputation was like thunder to the ears. He was the head of the Central State 4 Young Masters and far surpassed the other 3 Young Masters. He was the most outstanding genius in Central State and was known as the only person in Central State who had the potential to become the second Marquis. Lin Mu and Fang Han were just the leaders of an ordinary mercenary group. How could they dare to provoke such a person? If Chu Xinghe wanted to exterminate the 3 clans of the human race, he could do it with just a few words. Even though he hadn't become the head of the Chu family, he was already in charge of a lot of resources, and there were countless experts like Chu Tungwen who sought refuge with him. Chu Tian snorted coldly and stood in front of the two of them. Lin Mu and Fang Han were afraid of Chu Xinghe's reputation, but he wasn't. That's right, that token was with him. Originally, Chu Tian did not know what the token was used for, but now it seemed that even Chu Xinghe wanted it. It had always been a treasure. How could he give it to such a person? Where's the token? The moment Chu Tungwen's gaze swept over, a powerful aura swept over, giving people a sense of oppression as if a huge mountain was pressing down on them. No wonder Lin Mu and Fang Han were defeated. The two of them were afraid of Chu Xinghe's influence and did not dare retaliate, but the most important reason was that they were not his opponent. This person had the strength of a triple awakened soul. Even Chu Tian would find it hard to deal with him. In a situation where the Tianma cult's branch leader had not recovered, he should also have the strength of a triple awakened soul. But Chu Tian did not rely on his strength to win. The main reason was because of the little fox. If it wasn't for the little fox's special ability to break the Tianma cult's branch leader's demonic art, allowing Chu Tian to win by a surprise move, it would be hard to tell who would be the winner. A dignified third awakened soul layer expert, it could be imagined how dangerous he was. Chu Tian faced Chu Tungwen's questioning, but he insisted, I didn't see it. Chu Tungwen snorted, if I don't cripple you, you won't open your mouth? Chu Tian gave a loud laugh, rude and overbearing, unreasonable. Is this the style of Central State people? You dare speak to me like this? Courting death. Chu Tungwen was about to explode, but General Xiong suddenly shouted, Chu Tungwen, enough is enough. No matter what you want, the 3 of them broke Yan Wuiyang's plan and stopped the revival of the Tianma cult's branch leader, saving Central State from a disaster. They are meritorious subjects. General Xiong, you're too naive. Do you really think they're working hard? Chu Tungwen gave a cold laugh. I don't think so. Not only did they not do anything, they are also remnants of the Tianma cult. When Lin Mu and Fang Han heard this, their expressions changed. Putting this label on them, it was simply asking for their lives. General Xiong said, What do you mean by this? These people secretly moved the resources and were caught by us, so they made up a reason to deceive us. But when I went down to take a look, all the resources were gone. Just based on this point, it's enough to convict them. Chu Tongwen said in a strict voice, "These things don't belong to you, but you still stole them. This crime cannot be forgiven, you should be executed." General Xiong knit his brows. Stealing resources was a bit unreasonable, but it was also reasonable. After all, these were spoils of war. Of course, the resources don't matter, but they are definitely lying. Chu Tongwen said, "General Xiong, with your strength, you should be able to see that these three people are at most in the second awakened soul layer. Can this kind of trash survive in the hands of Yen Weiyang? Do you think this kind of trash can survive in the hands of the resurrected Tianma cult's leader? Isn't this a big joke?" What he said wasn't wrong, these three people's cultivation bases were not strong enough. With Chu Tongwen's slap, Lin Mu and Fang Han did not even have the ability to dodge. How could this kind of strength deal with Yen Weiyang, who cultivated a demonic art? How could they deal with the Tianma cult's leader? Chu Tongwen said in a sharp voice, "Now, I have a serious suspicion that these three people are related to Tianma cult. Please hand them over to me. I will personally bring them back to Central State to interrogate them." Venomous slander. We are all people from the main city, how could we be related to this place? Lin Mu and Fang Han's faces turned very ugly. Falling into Chu Tongwen's hands, would they still have a life? If you want to blame someone, you can always find a way to frame them. If it wasn't good, they would really have their entire family executed. What was this token? They had never seen a token before. General Xiong did not seem to be able to excuse them. How did you survive Yen Weiyang's hands, and how did you defeat the Tianma cult's leader? I hope you will tell me the truth, don't hide anything. Xiong, why do you have to do this? Chu Tongwen snorted, "Leave it to me. In less than 3 days, I will definitely knock open their mouths and make them confess truthfully." Haha. Chu Tian laughed a few times. Chu Tongwen snorted, "What's so funny?" Chu Tian walked directly in front of him and looked him in the eye without fear. What's so strange about this? General Xiong and Chu Tongwen were stunned. It's very simple. Chu Tian's words became extremely sharp. He said word by word in a sonorous and forceful manner, "Because I am stronger than them." General Xiong was shocked. What is your cultivation base? It doesn't matter if you don't believe me, I'll prove it to you right now. Chu Tian pointed at Chu Tongwen and asked, "This dog raised by the heavenly sword young master should have a triple awakened soul strength." Calling Chu Tongwen a dog? How many people in Central State had the guts to do this? Chu Tongwen was naturally enraged, seeking death. Speaking of this, it really is a small road for enemies. It's the one surnamed Chu again. Chu Tian slowly pulled out the netherworld sword from his back. "I'm too lazy to waste my breath. Just make your move. Since you don't want to accept it, then Father will beat you until you do. Father doesn't have any other skills, but I know how to teach a dog a lesson." Everyone looked at each other in amazement. This seemingly ordinary fellow actually didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth and challenged Chu Tongwen. What was the difference between this and seeking death? Chu Tongwen was not originally surnamed Chu. He was a very famous rogue cultivator, known as the life-stealing scholar. Not only did he have a very high cultivation base, he also knew the geography of the world, alchemy arrays, ancient runes. There was nothing he wasn't proficient in. There was a time when he fought with Chu Xinghe and was easily defeated by him in a single move. From then on, he firmly believed that Chu Xinghe was not an ordinary person. He was destined to soar into the heavens, becoming a character not inferior to the 8 Marquises. In order to save his life, he pledged his loyalty to Chu Xinghe, changing his surname to Chu, becoming a consecrator of the Chu family, as well as one of Chu Xinghe's steward and trusted aides. Not only was this person strong, he was also very knowledgeable, so he had a very high status in the Chu family, even above the normal elders. This nobody who didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth actually wanted to challenge the famous life-stealing scholar Chu Tongwen. Chu Tongwen didn't get angry. Instead he smiled, surnamed Xiong. "Don't say I'm not giving you face. This is what he asked for." General Xiong's face was filled with helplessness. It was already like this. What else could he do? Chu Tongwen didn't say any more nonsense. He directly took a step forward. A terrifying aura filled the air. White spirit energy gathered on top of his head, unexpectedly transforming into the image of a golden book. Chu Tian blurted out, "Book source spirit?" This Chu Tongwen's source spirit type, unexpectedly was very similar to the young Mississippi. For a nobody like you to be able to see the 7-page golden book, you can die in peace. From Chu Tongwen's long sleeves, a giant iron pen suddenly came out. It was a full 3 feet long. The end was as sharp as a spear. It coldly pointed at Chu Tian. "I'll give you one more chance. Tell me the location of the token, cripple your own cultivation, and you can avoid death." Chu Tian laughed out loud. With a flick of his wrist, he raised his sword. The blue and white sword chi swept towards Chu Tongwen. This sword did not use his source spirit. It did not have the demon god sword's destructive power. Even if the netherworld sword chi was strong, it was only at the second awakened soul layer. A first awakened soul layer cultivator releasing the destructive power of a second awakened soul layer cultivator, this was already very amazing. Just based on this move from Chu Tian, it was completely possible for him to kill Yen Weiyang. Insignificant skill. Chu Tongwen's iron pen forcefully touched the sword chi, instantly breaking it. But the moment the sword chi broke, a strong stream of air came out. It was accompanied by large amounts of blue and white sparks. What? Chu Tongwen was shocked. General Xiong also had a surprised look on his face. This sword chi was very strong. It did not seem like it came from a first awakened soul layer cultivator. Moreover, the sword chi contained a strange flame. Although he did not know what kind of flame it was, it had a strong energy. Once it landed on his body, the consequences would be unimaginable. Chu Tongwen quickly retreated. "What's wrong? Weren't you very arrogant? Why are you retreating?" After Chu Tian finished speaking, he sent another sword chi over. "Dragon roar golden bell." Chu Tongwen gave a loud roar. The golden book source spirit above his head suddenly flipped several pages. It released a majestic dragon's roar. A giant golden cover covered Chu Tongwen. This golden cover was not only shining, there was also a faint flood dragon circling around it. When Chu Tian's sword chi hit it, there were only sparks and the sword chi disappeared, not leaving a single mark. Lin Mu and Fang Han were shocked. Such a terrifying defensive power. The rumors were true. The life-stealing scholar Chu Tongwen's golden book source spirit had a total of 7 pages. Each page recorded a mysterious ancient cultivation technique. It could attack, defend, support, and heal, making him an all-rounder. Chu Tian was in big trouble. Chapter 116. The Dragon Roar Golden Bell's defense was very strong. Even someone with the same strength as the triple awakened soul would find it hard to break this defense. Chu Tian couldn't release the power of a 4th heavenly layer cultivator, right? That was almost impossible. At least not now. The 4th awakened soul layer and the triple awakened soul layer, although it seemed like there was only a single level difference, it was a qualitative leap. The awakened soul realm was divided into 3 stages: void soul, illustrious soul, and true soul. The void soul layer was the 1st to 3rd layer and was the first stage of the awakened soul realm. If he broke through to the illustrious soul realm, his strength would increase by several times. So, it could be said that Chu Tongwen could rely on this Dragon Roar Golden Bell to be undefeatable under the illustrious soul realm. It was enough to block any attack from Chu Tian. Chu Tongwen looked at Chu Tian with a pitiful gaze. "From this slash, you do have a bit of strength, but you want to challenge me with this pitiful strength? Wishful thinking." As soon as Chu Tongwen said this, he found another problem. The place where the sword chi had struck earlier had left behind a wisp of blue flame. Chu Tongwen hadn't paid much attention to it, but after this small wisp of flame appeared, it didn't disappear. It stuck to the defensive barrier and grew bigger and bigger. It was like someone had taken a match and swept it across a piece of wood. The match could not leave a mark on the wood. The flame remained on the wood, slowly burning and swallowing it. Moreover, it was growing bigger and bigger. This flame did not seem like it could burn material, but it could burn energy. How could there be this kind of flame? It was truly a rare sight. Netherworld flame. Chu Tongwen was a very knowledgeable person, immediately recognizing the blue and white flame. His eyes revealed a look of greed. I never thought that you would have this kind of spiritual item on you. It seems like I didn't come here in vain. I'll leave your netherworld flame behind. The little fox loudly called out. Before Chu Tongwen finished speaking, it suddenly blew out and a red shadow shot out at a speed hard to see with the naked eye. The little needle pierced through the golden bell like a balloon, instantly piercing through it and stabbing at Chu Tongwen's heart. What? Chu Tongwen and General Xiong were shocked. This needle did not have a very strong aura, but it could easily pierce through the defense. This could only mean that there was a problem with the material itself. It was a baby that could ignore energy defense. Chu Tongwen took 2 steps back. His robe was torn apart, revealing a golden silk soft armor. The needle pierced through the soft armor, but it didn't penetrate through. The little fox was so angry that it stomped its feet. With a forceful wave, the needle flew back and was swallowed back into its mouth. What a pity! The needles could ignore elemental energy, but they weren't very powerful. However, no one would have thought that Chu Tongwen was hiding an artifact armor on his body. This kind of sneak attack was very effective. Once the opponent was prepared, it would be difficult to succeed again. Chu Tian patted the little fox's head. It's your first time. It's normal to fail. How dangerous! Chu Tongwen was so frightened that he broke out in a cold sweat. At the same time, he was completely infuriated. I want you dead. Divine travel 10,000 miles. The golden book source spirit flipped another page and the golden bell disappeared. Chu Tongwen's body was covered in a layer of wind-attributed energy. With an unbelievable speed, he instantly charged in front of Chu Tian. 10,000 annihilation. The golden book source spirit flipped another page. The wind-attributed energy disappeared and a black energy gathered on the iron pen. It increased the power of Chu Tongwen's attack by 10 times. When the iron pen landed on Chu Tian's body, the Starlight Immortal body was automatically activated. A terrifying strength was released. Chu Tian's starlight glass was shattered and he was sent flying several meters away, creating a large hole in the ground. This time it was Chu Tongwen's turn to be shocked. Such a strong defense cultivation technique? It can actually block my attack. It was normal for Chu Tongwen to block Chu Tian's attack. Chu Tongwen had the advantage in cultivation. The golden bell was the martial art recorded in the golden book source spirit, and it was the one with the deepest cultivation. It had already reached the large success realm, and there was no one in the same realm that could break it. The concept of Chu Tian blocking Chu Tongwen's attack was completely different. This was an almost impossible matter. This completely subverted common sense. Chu Tongwen gave a cold laugh. You have the netherworld flame and a top-quality defensive cultivation technique. There are more and more interesting things on you. Even if I can't find the token this time, bringing you back to the young master will still be a great merit. Chu Tian had suffered quite a bit of internal injuries, but the Starlight Immortal body was not just for defense. It immediately adjusted itself and instantly healed his injuries. It seemed like Chu Tian wasn't affected at all. 7-page golden book source spirit? It was only this much. Although they were both book source spirits, the young miss did not have any battle strength and Chu Tongwen had a decent battle strength. To a normal person, it was clear that Chu Tongwen was stronger. But in terms of value, Chu Tian believed that the young Miss Heavenly Book Source Spirit was worth 1,000 times more than the 7-page golden book. Of course, this was different for each person. If the young Miss did not meet Chu Tian, even if the Heavenly Book Source Spirit contained many ancient memories, it would not be as good as a battle-type Source Spirit. Hell's Raging Flames. The 7-page golden book turned to a new page. Chu Tongwen's pen drew a large rune in the air. Chu Tian suddenly felt the ground beneath his feet tremble, and he slightly knit his brows. The ground suddenly split open and a giant flame burst forth, instantly engulfing Chu Tian's body. Lin Mu and Fang Han felt their bodies turn cold. This life-stealing scholar was really not an undeserved reputation. He was an undefeatable existence. Whether it was close-range attacks, long-range attacks, physical attacks, or energy explosions, he was an expert in all of them. Adding on his defensive abilities, it would be hard for someone of the same level to defeat him. Not to mention a first awakened soul layer little cultivator. The power that the Tianma cult's branch leader displayed was clearly the power of the triple awakened soul. When Chu Tian fought with the Tianma cult's branch leader, he was clearly at a disadvantage. Finally, if it was not for the little fox's surprise attack, Chu Tian might not have been able to defeat the Tianma cult's branch leader. This Chu Tongwen was also at the third body refinement layer. This time the little fox had no way to restrain him, so Chu Tian could only meet him head-on. The difficulty of this could be imagined. After the flame explosion, Chu Tian's starlight dimmed a lot and the little fox's snow-white fur was burnt black. It angrily bared its fangs and brandished its claws, telling Chu Tian to quickly kill him. 10,000 phase seal. The golden book source spirit opened once again. A seal appeared in Chu Tongwen's palms and he pressed it against Chu Tian's body. This was a sealing technique. If Chu Tian's spirit energy was sealed by Chu Tongwen, then even if he had the ability to pierce through the heavens and earth, he would not be able to use it. Obviously, Chu Tongwen wanted to seal Chu Tian and then capture him alive. Chu Tian knit his brows and no longer held back. A terrifying demon god's annihilation energy was released and the demon god's sword source spirit soared into the sky. A cold pressure suddenly fell onto Chu Tongwen, causing Chu Tongwen's body to tremble. What? What is this source spirit? When Chu Tongwen and General Xiong saw Chu Tian's source spirit, they both revealed looks of shock. This was because this source spirit's aura was too strong. It simply surpassed their imaginations. Impossible. Even if Chu Tongwen was knowledgeable, he still could not recognize this. This source spirit's aura is no weaker than Chu Xinghe's. It even contains an ancient demon god aura that has not been completely excavated. This is a divine sword source spirit. General Xiong muttered, Central State's #1 sword source spirit, isn't it Chu Xinghe? Where did this fellow come from? Central State's Chu family had a sword as their spirit. They were famous in southern Xia. Even if the other families had sword source spirits, compared to the Central State Chu family, they were not on the same level. The Chu family's swordsman source spirits were all very strong. They had never heard of anyone surpassing them. Now, an unknown nobody had jumped out with a source spirit that was even stronger than Chu Xinghe's. How could they not be shocked? Chu Tongwen was stunned for a moment. The netherworld sword was suddenly covered in blue and white flames. A purple and blue sword chi was released. Just like a surging river, it suddenly charged forward. The sword chi had not arrived yet. Two terrifying auras intertwined together. The other was a cold and mournful killing intent. One was an ancient and terrifying destructive power. Chu Tongwen felt like he was hallucinating. He was surrounded by a fierce demon that charged at him with a roar. It grabbed Chu Tongwen's hands and feet, binding his body. Dragon Roar Golden Bell. The golden book source spirit quickly turned the page. A golden cover came down. When the purple and blue sword chi fell on the cover, the demon god sword's destructive power was released, instantly creating a giant sword mark on the golden cover. The netherworld ghost flame was attached to the sword mark, creating a burning mark. When Chu Tian fused with the power of his source spirit, the power of this sword increased by several times. The demon god sword's destructive power directly created a crack on the golden cover. What kind of terrifying destructive power was this? A trivial first awakened soul layer cultivator, with a casual slash of his sword, it was enough to kill a third awakened soul layer cultivator. Even the large success high-level defensive cultivation technique Dragon Roar Golden Bell could be cracked. This person's terrifying degree could not be measured with common sense. Chu Tongwen was even more shocked. Your sword? Is the netherworld sword? Did that fellow Wan Wui fail? You're talking about that dog shit-eating wind swordsman? Chu Tian gave 3 loud laughs. At this time, I'm afraid he has already turned into a ghost in the 10,000 corpse ancient tomb. What kind of person was Wan Wui? He was the same as Chu Tongwen, at the third body refinement layer. Because his sword art was unpredictable, even if it was Chu Tongwen, he did not have the confidence to win against him. This kind of strong swordsman, in order to obtain the Netherworld sword, in the end he did not come back, and it was very likely that he had died in this fellow's hands. Since you can recognize the Netherworld sword, then I'll let you see its true power. Chu Tian gently waved his hand. The Netherworld sword's fiery glow was released. The terrifying Netherworld ghost flame was released. Netherworld flickering flame slash. The fiery glow exploded. Chu Tian disappeared. Chu Tongwen's body trembled. This fighting technique was similar to the Yin Win sword art. It was an assassination type of cultivation technique. Chapter 117. Assassination cultivation techniques had a strong explosive power, so it was often fatal. It was fine if he didn't make a move, but once he made a move, victory or defeat would be decided in a single move. Chu Tongwen was shocked, but he revealed a cold smile. You think this kind of method can fool my eyes? Not to mention a scoundrel like you, even if it was Wan Wui with the large success realm of the Yin Win sword art, it wouldn't be easy for him to assassinate me in broad daylight. I'll let you see how strong the 7-page golden book source spirit is. Chu Tongwen seemed like he had nothing to fear. The spirit energy around him glowed even brighter. The 7-page golden book source spirit was infused with strong spirit energy and countless runes appeared. It flipped over several pages and an eye made of runes appeared. Illusion-breaking golden eyes. Chu Tongwen gave an angry roar and a rune appeared in his eyes. It was clear that he was absorbing the golden book source spirit's power. His pupils became long and narrow and a strong light was released, finally covering his entire eyeball. His eyes became as bright as a lamp and released a strong aura. This pair of eyes contained a strong power. Ordinary demons and devils would be destroyed on the spot with just a glare. In addition, this eye had a strong investigative ability. It could break through illusions and see through things, making it incomparably strong. Chu Tongwen was an all-rounder. Fighting, defending, long-range attacks, close range, scouting, and healing, there was nothing he couldn't do. Because of this, he could deal with any situation and any kind of opponent. When Chu Tongwen confidently displayed his cultivation technique, he was stunned on the spot. A very vague gray shadow filled the surroundings, constantly changing. It was impossible to track it down and it was impossible to determine its location. Damn, what was going on? Even if it was the large success realm of the Yin Win sword art, he could still recognize it. This fellow's cultivation technique had not reached the large success realm, but it was hidden so deeply that even Chu Tongwen could not accurately determine its location. This was something Chu Tongwen had never encountered before. The Netherworld flame sword was incomparably strong. Once it was used, it would disappear into the Netherworld and it would be hard to track it down. At this moment, Chu Tian was like an omnipresent death god. He could launch a fatal attack at any moment, leaving people with no way to deal with him. Not good. A strong sense of unease engulfed Chu Tongwen like an overwhelming wave. He hurriedly cancelled the current cultivation method and reused the golden bell shield to protect his body from all directions. The moment the golden light shrouded the area, a terrifying murderous aura erupted from the endless netherworld. A sharp sword glow covered in netherworld ghost flame turned into a small and fast ray of light as it slammed into the golden bell shield. Ding! A huge crack appeared on the golden bell shield. After this ray of light passed through, it left behind the netherworld ghost fire that continued to burn, causing the incomparably sturdy golden bell shield to instantly dim. Chu Tongwen broke out in a cold sweat. At the same time, he heaved a sigh of relief. That's all. Your sword art can't break through my defense. Any assassination-type cultivation technique. He would always accumulate power for a long time and then achieve a fatal strike. If he couldn't break through the opponent's defense in one strike, then it was basically a failure. Chu Tian had the demon god sword source spirit, so his sword art was very strong. This slash was even more mysterious, but because of the gap in their cultivation bases, it couldn't break through Chu Tongwen's strong defense. If this brat was at the second awakened soul layer, I'm afraid I wouldn't be his opponent. Chu Tongwen wasn't happy for a few seconds. So, another burning sword glow came down from the ground. It was like a long and narrow ray of light, leaving a deep flaming sword mark on the ground wherever it went. Ding! The sword slashed down on the golden bell shield. Another sword mark was added. The two sword marks overlapped, forming a large burning cross. The ghost flame continued to burn, becoming stronger and stronger. The burning process also weakened the defense. The third slash. The fourth slash. He couldn't see the person, only the sword glow could be seen. Chu Tian's figure disappeared, leaving behind a burning sword glow. From different directions, it wildly slashed at the golden bell shield. 3 slashes, 4 slashes, 5 slashes. More and more cracks appeared on Chu Tongwen's golden bell shield. Because the netherworld ghost flame was becoming stronger, he didn't have time to repair it. He couldn't help revealing a look of shock. This was impossible. This was clearly an assassination technique. But it was like moving clouds and flowing water, growing endlessly and endlessly. As more and more sword glows swept across the golden bell shield, more and more cracks appeared on the golden bell shield. No! The golden bell shield was completely shattered. Chu Tongwen spat out a mouthful of blood from the shock. The deathly sword glow was covered in blue and white flames. It turned into a stream of light that was as sharp as a needle as it shot towards the center of Chu Tongwen's eyebrows. If this attack hit, Chu Tongwen's head would be pierced through. "Stay your sword." A deep voice rang out. General Xiong gave a loud roar and a terrifying spiritual roar filled the air, causing Chu Tian to appear from his hiding state. A long sword that was as smooth as ice crystals was covered in blue and white flames. The tip of the sword was only 2-3 centimeters away from the center of Chu Tongwen's eyebrows. Chu Tongwen was so scared that his soul almost left his body. General Xiong walked over and said, "Don't go overboard and stop here. You should have seen the strength of this friend Chu Tongwen. Do you have anything else to say?" Chu Tongwen revealed an angry expression. "Humph. Just wait and see." He didn't have the face to stay here any longer, so he turned around and left. Chu Tian's face was as pale as paper. Although he had used the Netherworld Flame Sword Art's Netherworld Flickering Flame Slash, this move consumed too much of his body. At this moment, Chu Tian had already overdrawn his spirit energy and he couldn't even stand straight. It was too strenuous to deal with a triple awakened soul expert. Chu Tongwen's spirit energy was much stronger than Chu Tian's. If he could last a bit longer to consume Chu Tian's energy, it would be hard to tell who would win. But Chu Tian was already very satisfied. After all, his Netherworld Flame Sword was only in the small success realm. This ancient sword art was not inferior to the Starlight Immortal Body from the future. General Xiong was not simple, he was clearly above Chu Tongwen. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to force Chu Tian to reveal himself with a single shout. General Xiong looked at Chu Tian with an appreciative gaze. "Don't blame me for stopping you. Killing Chu Tongwen will only bring harm to you. This fellow has Chu Xinghe behind him." Chu Xinghe? This was not the first time he had heard this name. "You're very strong, but it's still too early for you to go against Chu Xinghe." General Xiong looked at Chu Tian. "You're almost at your limit, am I right?" "So what?" When Chu Xinghe suppressed his cultivation to the first layer, he used a single slash to tear apart Chu Tongwen's defenses. Lin Mu and Fang Han were both shocked. Brother Lu had used a total of 6 slashes to tear apart Chu Tongwen. This was already something normal people could not understand. It was a heaven-defying feat that surpassed one's imagination. They never thought that Chu Xinghe would be even more monstrous. Of course, Chu Tongwen has followed Chu Xinghe for a year now and his strength has increased by quite a bit, so you can't compare them to each other. But even if it's like this, there is still a large gap between you and Chu Xinghe. After all, Chu Xinghe is the head of the Central State 4 Young Masters and has obtained an ancient sword cultivation technique. His cultivation technique is known as the #1 attack technique in the entire Central State. So strong. He really was worthy of being the most dazzling genius in Central State. Lin Mu and Fang Han did not have any thoughts of resisting. Chu Xinghe has a very strong and overbearing personality. He does not accept any failure in his eyes, even if it's his subordinates. Chu Tongwen losing to a trivial first awakened soul layer cultivator like you, he would not dare report this matter. General Xiong paused for a moment before continuing. Of course, Chu Tongwen is also very proud. He would not admit that he lost to you. Fine. It could only be like this. Chu Tian was not afraid of Chu Xinghe. He dared to cut off Yi Tianlong's arm and provoke Yi Wudao. He was not afraid of another Chu Xinghe. Chu Tongwen's strength was only SOSO. Chu Tian believed that before long he would not be a threat at all. A person that could not pose a threat, it did not matter if he died or not. Chu Xinghe would compete with him sooner or later, but his cultivation technique was too low, so now was not the time. Many thanks, General Xiong. No need to be polite, you have done a great service in destroying the Tianma cult's branch. If you want any rewards, just tell me and this general will do his best to satisfy you. Chu Tian didn't need anything, and it wasn't convenient for him to reveal his true identity right now, so he said very modestly, "We appreciate General Xiong's good intentions, but I've already gained a lot from this trip, so I don't have any extravagant hopes for other rewards." The little fox had eaten everything it could eat. The other things had been taken away by Lin Mu and Fang Han. General Xiong waved his hand. "You still need to be rewarded. Come with me to Central State and I'll recommend you to be a former general of Central State. How about it? This is a position with real power. You can command an army of 50,000. Lin Mu and Fang Han were stunned. Former general of Central State? This surnamed Xiong's boldness was too big. General Xiong saw that Chu Tian's strength was shocking, so he cherished this talent. He did not hesitate to throw out such a big position, letting Chu Tian hold a position in Central State. It had to be known that once one became a former general, they would be considered a top character in Central State. Who would have thought that Chu Tian would shrug his shoulders? "I'm sorry, this one is used to being free and unfettered. I'm not suited to the military life. I can only decline the general's good intentions." General Xiong was anxious. How could this be? If this kind of talent was let go, who knew which power would recruit him? At that time, it would be a big loss. Chu Tian continued to say, "General Xiong, we will meet again and it won't be long." General Xiong had no choice but to say, "I'll make you 3 generals. This is a free position, it won't restrict your work." General Xiong was a military position, but it was not a position in the army. Therefore, in most situations, a general was an identity. With this identity, they would be part of the army and it would be much easier to deal with problems. General Xiong brought people to clean up the scene. Chu Tian did not plan on staying here for long. He was prepared to bring the goods from Miracle Commerce back to South Sky City. Therefore, he was prepared to say goodbye to Lin Mu and Fang Han. Lin Mu's face was filled with admiration as he looked at Chu Tian. "Brother Lu, I have a question that I don't know if I should ask or not. Since you've given up your position in the army, it can be seen that you're a person who likes freedom and being a mercenary is the most free profession. Would you consider becoming a mercenary?" "Become a mercenary?" Chu Tian smiled. Lin Mu quickly said, "I think you're more suitable than me to be a mercenary leader. If you're willing to join, we're willing to follow your lead." Chu Tian of course did not have any plans to become a mercenary. But Chu Tian thought that as Miracle Commerce grew stronger, it still lacked its own armed forces. If a large company did not have its own army, then it would face a difficult situation in the future. Miracle Commerce needed to raise a mercenary group. "I'm not interested in being a mercenary leader." Chu Tian said this and then suddenly paused. "But, if you're interested, we can cooperate in the future and do something big together." Lin Mu and Fang Han were stunned and revealed an excited expression. If they could work with this kind of person, it would be a great fortune. "What should we do?" "The time isn't right now." Chu Tian gave a mysterious smile. "You guys go back to Central State first. As long as the time is right, we'll meet again. At that time, you'll know my true identity. Naturally you'll understand what I'm talking about." The two of them looked at each other. This was too mysterious, they couldn't see through him at all. Chu Tian's task had already been completed. Not only did he obtain the goods that Tianjin Chamber of Commerce had lost, he had also obtained many benefits, so he didn't need to stay any longer. He spurred his horse on the road. He returned to South Sky City in the shortest time possible. Chapter 118. Although he had only left Tiannan City for a few days, Tiannan City had changed a lot. Several main streets were now equipped with tall street lights. Of course, they were not called street lights. Meng Qingwu called them lighting towers, because the street lights were shaped like a pointed tower. This tower was made of high-strength hardwood and a large light bulb was fixed at the top. The design could be considered beautiful and it was durable, not easily damaged. This attracted many passers-by to watch. One of Miracle Commerce's most important products, the electric lamp. After a month of preparation, was it finally released? The electric lamps had a very high strategic value to Miracle Commerce. The electric lamps had a large market, benefiting poor families and the common people of the lower classes. While Miracle Commerce's name was raised, it would also give the company a good reputation. Chu Tian returned to the company's headquarters. He first gave the lost 3 lives worm grass to Meng Qingwu and told her to quickly arrange for people to refine pills. Then Chu Tian summoned Jing Hu. During this time in Tiannan City, Jing Hu had almost recovered. When he found out that Chu Tian went out alone and brought back the goods, he couldn't help but feel embarrassed. President Chu, the goods have been brought back. This one should go back and report, but what? Jing Hu originally wanted to ask for money, but he swallowed the words back. Originally, according to the rules, the material merchant could only bear 50% of the losses while the other half was shared by both parties. This person in front of him was not a good person. The vice president and junior president had fallen in his hands. From the moment they set out to transport the goods, Jing Hu had already prepared himself to not get a single copper coin. Not to mention that something had gone wrong midway. Not to mention that the goods had been intercepted, Chu Tian had to personally take action to recover the goods. Jing Hu could only say, "President Chu, please give me the antidote. This way, this one can go back and report." He most likely wouldn't get the money. At the very least, he had to keep the vice president and junior president alive. Chu Tian handed over a porcelain bottle without hesitation. "Take it once every 7 days. It's enough for about a month. I'll give you more after a month." This fellow was indeed ruthless. They wanted to use chronic poison to control the Tianjin Chamber of Commerce for a long time. Jing Hu felt indignant but helpless. Who asked him to be weaker? If he could really beat this kid, he would have taken him down back in Hidden Sound Town. "I'll take my leave." "Wait. President Chu, do you have any other instructions?" Jing Hu's heart skipped a beat. He thought to himself that this kid wouldn't be insatiably greedy and make some excessive request again, right? The Tianjin Chamber of Commerce had lost the resources near Hidden Sound Town, and had also given away materials worth millions. Although it was not a serious blow, it was still a heavy loss. If this continued, would the Tianjin Chamber of Commerce be able to take it? Chu Tian didn't beat around the bush. He got straight to the point and said, "Your goods are not bad. Go back and tell Jing Xian that no matter what channel he uses to collect them, he has to prepare 3 times the amount of 3 lives demonic insects, nether flame grass, and magnetic soundstones." Jing Hu's face turned white. This was simply a blood-sucking evil spirit. The Tianjin Chamber of Commerce had taken out all of their stored materials. Who knew if it would be enough to satisfy Chu Tian? If they were to buy them from other places of origin, then the price would increase by a lot. Not to mention 3 times the amount? Even if they didn't increase the price, it would still be 5 to 6 million. It wasn't that the Tianjin Chamber of Commerce couldn't take it out. However, this young master didn't pay. With such a large amount of materials being lost, how could the vice president and junior president hide it? This was simply asking for their lives. Jing Hu said with a bitter face, I, Chu Tian frowned. "What? Do you have any other opinions?" I don't dare. Jing Hu was a yes man. He quickly bowed and cupped his hands. "We will think of a way. But we can't guarantee the time. I ask President Chu to wait patiently. You must know that my patience isn't good. So you must hurry. I will only give you 1 week. I will personally go to the central state and see the goods. Do you understand? 1 week? Personally go to the central state. Jing, who felt the world spin. This blood-sucking evil spirit was determined to eat up the Tianshan Chamber of Commerce. Yes, no matter what, he had to go back first. Then this one will take his leave. Wait, don't tell me you're going to leave just like this? To President Chu, what other orders do you have? Are you a businessman or not? You even forgot to collect the money. Chu Tian waved his hand. Pay them the money. Money? Meng Yingying personally carried a large tray over. She had a small face as she fiercely said, "Consider yourself lucky this time. Chu Tian has found the goods. If you dare lose the goods again, we won't pay." The plate was densely packed with gold coin cards, each with a face value of 10,000 gold coins. In addition to the large pile of gold coin cards, there were also several crystal ammunition bottles filled with elixirs. Meng Yingying pretended to be old and experienced as she said, "The total value of your goods is 1.05 million gold coins. Miracle Commerce will pay 1 million gold coins. The extra 50,000 gold coins is for your hard work as well as the compensation for the soldiers killed by Miracle Commerce escorting the goods. Take it." Jing, who did not dare believe his ears. Miracle Commerce had actually paid. Chu Tian had actually paid. Another 50,000 gold coins. Jing, who looked at the pill bottles. This? What is this? Meng Yingying raised her eyebrows. These are refining chi pills. There are a total of 30 of them. According to the agreement in Hidden Sound Village, you will provide the materials for Miracle Commerce and Miracle Commerce will share a portion of the profits. You have to know that in the underground market, these pills have already reached 10 to 20,000 gold coins. How you want to sell them is up to you. 30 pills, that was at least 300,000 gold coins. More importantly, this was a rare commodity. If the Tianshan Chamber of Commerce could store it, not only would it be useful for internal consumption, it could also be used as a bargaining chip to negotiate with other families. This would bring more profits to the Tianshan Chamber of Commerce. How could Chu Tian be this generous? He already had an absolute advantage. He controlled the vice chairman and young chairman, so there was no need for him to give them these things. He even had a reason to not pay for the goods. Chu Tian did not do this. Not only did he pay for the goods, he even generously gave them extra. What, you think I won't pay? No, that's not it. Humph, only you would do something like this. If you are heartless, then I will not be righteous. Chu Tian's face was calm as he used a reprimanding tone to say, "Go back and tell Jing Xian to remember this. If the Tianshan Chamber of Commerce cooperates, then it will only be good for him. With Miracle Commerce eating meat, you guys will have to drink soup. Reproduction, if you dare play any tricks or do anything that betrays Miracle Commerce, then I, Chu Tian, swear that I will not let you have a good time. Those that go against me will never have a good ending. If the 3 great families are like this, then what do you think you are?" Jing, who now only had admiration for Chu Tian. He bowed and cupped his hands as he said, "This one will remember this. When I go back, I will definitely tell the vice chairman." Chu Tian waved his hand. "All right, hurry up and scram back to Central State." Jing, who left with a face full of excitement. Meng Yingying puffed out her cheeks as she watched Jing, who walk away. Then she turned her head and complained, "Our medicine store doesn't even have enough pills to sell, why do we still have to give them?" Chu Tian said with a smile, "You idiot, why are you only thinking about the benefits in front of you? We need to cast a long line to catch a big fish. The Tianshan Chamber of Commerce is the most capable material supplier in Central State. Only by using carrot and stick will we be able to firmly control them and deliver the materials Miracle Commerce needs." Meng Yingying had a straightforward personality. When she found out that the Tianshan Chamber of Commerce was planning to use force to threaten them, she did not have a good impression of the people from the Tianshan Chamber of Commerce. This kind of bad person should be severely taught a lesson. Chu Tian asked, "How come I don't see the young miss?" Meng Yingying tilted her head and thought for a moment before saying, "Elder sister is extremely busy right now. She is preparing to open a trading company in the city center." Chu Tian was a little surprised. Trading company? I don't really understand. Elder sister said that the trading company is a supermarket, a comprehensive shopping center, with a unified price and clear categories, making it more convenient for the citizens to shop. Meng Yingying proudly said, "You don't know this, but the Miracle Commerce's light bulbs have already reached over 100,000. 100,000? That many?" "That's right." Meng Yingying laughed twice. "There are over 2,000 luxurious light bulbs. This time, the Miracle Commerce's main product will be the electric light bulbs. The pills and talismans we produce will also be sold inside." Elder sister has also gathered the resources of the South Sky City merchants, letting everyone put their products inside the trading company. This really was not a small sales platform. This trading company concept was very advanced. If the Miracle Commerce was promoted on a large scale, it would definitely be able to create a unique brand, becoming an indispensable supermarket. Other than that, the mayor has officially signed a large project, investing around 3 million gold coins to install lighting towers on all the streets of South Sky City. Now our Miracle Commerce is the company with the highest earning power in South Sky City. Chu Tian revealed a faint smile. "How is it? Do you feel a sense of accomplishment?" Meng Yingying forcefully nodded her head. Her little face was filled with emotion. It really wasn't easy. From its founding until now, Miracle Commerce had gone through many trials and tribulations for almost 2 months. It was a perfect counterattack from having nothing to look down on all heroes. The rapid development of Miracle Commerce made Chu Tian very satisfied and made Meng Yingying very proud. Being able to be a part of this was the happiest thing in her life. "Young Miss is working so hard, we can't just sit around, right? Let's go. I've made something new. I'll bring you over to take a look." Meng Yingying was very curious. What was this? The first few things that Chu Tian had taken, Miracle Commerce still hadn't digested them. Could it be that Chu Tian had something new to take out? Meng Yingying was a very curious person, so she excitedly followed Chu Tian to the back courtyard. She saw a large pile of hidden sound stones piled up here. "Aren't these stones used to make loudspeakers?" Meng Yingying said, "Loudspeakers are very good to use. This thing will definitely sell very well." Chu Tian disdainfully curled his lips. "Loudspeakers? They're just the lowest level goods. I'll let you experience something a bit higher level today." "Alright, let's get to work. I want to refine a batch of hidden sound stones." Meng Yingying was curious. Why do you need to refine hidden sound stones? Hidden sound stones are also divided into levels. These hidden sound stones that have just been mined are the lowest level 1 materials, so they can only be used to make the lowest level loudspeakers. If we use special materials and methods to refine the hidden sound stones, then we can display even more uses. Meng Yingying felt this was very interesting. What should we do? Chu Tian revealed a faint smile. "Why do you think I brought back a batch of level 1 electromagnetic crystal stones? If the hidden sound stones and electromagnetic crystal stones are refined together, then we can obtain a level 2 material, magnetic sound stone." Magnetic sound stone, what use does this thing have? Chu Tian kept her in suspense as he said, "Once it's done, you'll naturally know." Chu Tian let Meng Yingying be his helper. He used the electromagnetic crystal stones and hidden sound stones from the Tianshan Chamber of Commerce and used several profound refining arrays to refine them. Finally, he obtained the level 2 material, magnetic sound stone. The refining process of the magnetic sound stone was carried out through a level 2 array, therefore it could only be done by an awakened soul cultivator. If Chu Tian had not become an awakened soul cultivator, even if he had the materials, he would not have been able to refine this new material. Chu Tian used Meng Yingying's help to build a small tower the height of a person with the magnetic sound stone. He also drew several source energy arrays on the small tower and placed a source energy battery inside. "It's done." Chu Tian activated the source energy array and the small tower lit up. An invisible magnetic field quickly spread out, covering a large area. Meng Yingying did not understand a single thing. "What did you do?" "You don't understand." Chu Tian gave a mysterious smile. "This thing is called an electromagnetic broadcast tower. It has many uses, enough to subvert people's knowledge." Chapter 119. Thus, Meng Qingwu walked back with a tired face. Her white clothes were like snow, her figure was tall, her temperament was mature, just like an otherworldly fairy. There was an ancient bell tied to her waist. With each step she took, it would jingle. Although the sound wasn't loud, it had a penetrating power, as if it could drill into a person's heart. 18 silent black-clothed men, like loyal guards, were meticulously following him. Meng Qingwu was the vice chairman of Miracle Commerce, taking care of almost everything in the company. On the other hand, the chairman Chu Tian lived a carefree life, not participating in the management of the company at all. However, Meng Qingwu really liked her current life. She felt that in the last 2 months, it was far more fulfilling than in the last 20 years. When Meng Qingwu walked into the house, "Hey!" a voice suddenly rang out. This really made Meng Qingwu jump. Because Meng Qingwu was still an awakened soul cultivator, although her battle strength wasn't that strong, if someone came close, she would still be able to feel it. This voice truly did not have any warning, it simply came out of nowhere. Even after hearing this voice, Meng Qingwu still could not feel any aura of a living person. "Elder sister, it's me, Ying. Are you back?" Meng Qingwu revealed a confused expression. This voice was not someone else's, it was actually her little sister Meng Yingying's. When she looked over, the source of the voice was a black crystal stone placed on the living room table. What is going on? This crystal stone was completely black. It was like stone, jade, and crystal. She had never seen this kind of material before. When Meng Qingwu picked up the stone with a belly full of suspicion, Chu Tian's panicked voice came from inside. Young miss, you're finally back. You have to save me." Meng Qingwu revealed a look of disbelief. "Chu Tian? Why are you inside?" Chu Tian's cheap voice came from inside the stone. "Yingying and I met a terrifying curse. Now we've been sucked in by this stone and sealed. Help. I don't want to turn into stone." What? Meng Qingwu was shocked. She couldn't understand what was happening and asked hurriedly, "What's wrong with you? How could a person run into a rock for no reason? What should I do?" At this moment, Yingying's snickering could be heard from within the stone. She seemed to hear Chu Tian whispering to her, "Don't laugh." Meng Qingwu knit her brows. She was not an idiot, so she immediately inspected the stone. There were large amounts of runes engraved on the surface, and there was even a small source energy battery embedded in the sword path. It was most likely a prank. "Great, this bastard hasn't come back for a few days. You've only just returned and you're already teasing me." Yingying was such an obedient person, but she was led astray by him. It had to be known that Yingying did not have the guts to tease this older sister before. Meng Qingwu deliberately sneered and said, "Tell me, how should I save you?" Young miss, this is an ancient curse. As long as the young miss yells out the incantation to break it, we can be released from inside." Chu Tian paused before naughtily saying, "The method to break the incantation is to yell out, 'Chu Tian, I love you for 10,000 years. I'll." Chu Tian gave a painful cry and angrily said, "Damn girl, why did you kick me?" "Elder sister, don't listen to this fellow's nonsense." Meng Yingying's angry voice came from the stone. "We are in the back courtyard right now, quickly come over, there's something good." Chu Tian and Meng Yingying were standing in the courtyard. "Elder sister, over here." When Meng Yingying shouted at Meng Qingwu, the voice also came from the stone. Meng Qingwu looked at the crystal stone in her hand and then looked at it again. She revealed a look of disbelief as she walked in front of the two of them with a puzzled expression. She had already discovered the little tower in the little courtyard. What is going on here? Don't be surprised, this is Chu Tian's newest masterpiece. Meng Yingying also said with a curious expression, "The little tower and the stone in your hand are both made from magnetic sound stones. We can use magnetic sound stones to make radios." Meng Qingwu's head was filled with fog. Magnetic sound stones? Radios? Chu Tian gave a simple introduction. "This magnetic sound tower is a wonderful thing. It allows sound to be transmitted through an electromagnetic signal, covering the entire area covered by the magnetic field. All the magnetic sound stones engraved with a special sound receiving array can receive it, allowing each magnetic sound stone to emit sound." Meng Qingwu felt like her brain wasn't enough to process this. How could there be such a magical thing under the heavens? Chu Tian continued to shock Meng Qingwu's heart. Let's say it like this. If we install magnetic sound stone speakers in every corner of South Sky City and then use enough materials to build a large enough magnetic sound tower to cover the entire South Sky City, do you know what the final result will be? Meng Qingwu understood. Every word spoken can be transmitted to every corner of the city. Chu Tian snapped his fingers. That's right. As long as there is a magnetic sound tower, we can produce radios. When radios are placed in every household, our voice can be sent from here to any corner of the city, to any person's home. Meng Qingwu's body trembled. Heavens! This was such a great invention. The significance of its appearance far surpassed the electric light. Meng Yingying innocently scratched her head. But what use is this? It wasn't Meng Yingying's fault. The people of this era had very limited thinking. When they met a completely new thing, they couldn't quickly accept it, so they couldn't discover its potential. Meng Qingwu was different. Meng Qingwu's comprehension ability was very strong, so she didn't even think before saying, "Yingying, what you said is wrong. The invention of the radio is enough to cause a giant revolution. A revolution in the media." Media? The main medium of information on the continent is paper. Whether it is a large or small country, the only way people can obtain information is through newspapers and official documents. Once this invention comes out, the situation will be completely different. Chu Tian nodded his head. The young miss is right. With this technology, Miracle Commerce can have its own media, and it will be a completely new media. We can make radio stations and large amounts of radios, letting people become our listeners. Think about it. When the radios produced by Miracle Commerce are promoted in large amounts, entering tens of thousands of households, there will be no need to go out on the streets, no need to go out, and no need to ask for information. They will be able to obtain the latest news and information from the radio. People's lives will become very convenient. In the future, we can even invent a wearable radio, allowing people to wear the radio on their body. No matter what time, no matter where, even in the wilderness, they can turn on the radio. As long as they are within the range of the signal, they will be able to receive information. This will be a very convenient matter. Meng Yingying didn't understand, but she felt it was amazing. The appearance of this radio seemed very convenient, especially the wearable radio that Chu Tian described. As long as they wore it on their body, they would be able to listen to the broadcast and receive the latest news from the city. Wasn't this a very convenient matter? This was a new media. It contained a very high commercial value. Chu Tian continued, the invention of the radio will not only have a great impact on traditional media, but the radio is not just a simple communication medium. It is the prelude to society entering the information age. Not only can it bring convenience to people's lives, it can also provide entertainment and leisure, pushing forward the progress of civilization. Meng Qingwu didn't think so far ahead. The radio can have so many uses? Chu Tian smiled slightly. Of course, the electromagnetic tower can use different broadcasting arrays to transmit signals of different frequencies. The radio can switch frequencies to listen to different channels. This will greatly enrich the content and selectivity of the radio. We can create a channel that specializes in broadcasting news. We can create a channel that specializes in reading stories and telling anecdotes. We can also create a channel that specializes in shopping. We can even create a channel that specializes in teaching the latest cultivation techniques and technology. Do you know what this means? Meng Qingwu nodded, her voice trembling as she said, this means almost everyone can become our loyal listeners. That's right. Chu Tian revealed a mysterious smile. The radio will use its unique charm to attract a large group of loyal listeners. Star anchors will be born in every field. They will have a large group of fans and worshippers. They will gather a powerful force for Miracle Commerce. At that time, who will dare to touch our Miracle Commerce? Meng Qingwu found it hard to imagine. After this technology was fully developed, what kind of scene would it be? In this era, entertainment was scarce, communication was blocked, and the spiritual life was barren. People had almost no way to entertain themselves, And the method of obtaining information and knowledge was also very primitive. Chu Tian had forcefully put the radio, which would only appear a few thousand years later, into the current society. He didn't know what kind of reaction it would cause. This technology is currently still in the testing stage. The electromagnetic crystal stones we obtained from the Tianshan Chamber of Commerce are too few and have already been used up. We need to buy more electromagnetic crystal stones in order to smelt the magnetic sound stones. This wasn't a problem, as long as they had the mature technology. Materials, factories, and other things, with Miracle Commerce's current flourishing state, it wasn't hard to provide them. Meng Qingwu thought for a few minutes and said, "This kind of sensational invention, I don't think it's suitable to announce it in South Sky City." But Meng Qingwu replied, "Miracle Commerce's reputation in South Sky City has already reached its peak. I think it's time for us to take another step forward and open a new world in Central State, pushing the company to new heights." Go to Central State? Chu Tian pondered for a bit before nodding his head. "Perhaps it's time." Meng Qingwu said, "The Miracle Commerce store will be opening in a few days and the electric light will be officially released. I want to start the plan to enter Central State after this is over." Alright. Chu Tian didn't have any objections at all. He had to go to Central State sooner or later. That was a complicated place with many families, and there were the dazzling 4 young masters there. Once Chu Tian entered Central State, it would definitely be a reign of terror. Chapter 120. In the next few days, South Sky City's main streets, plazas, and other public places would all be equipped with very sturdy lighting towers. A piece of exciting news was announced. The Miracle Commerce store was about to have a grand opening. Miracle Commerce's vice chairman, Meng Qingwu, announced that Miracle Commerce's electric lamps would be sold in the Miracle Commerce store. When the news was announced, the entire South Sky City was shocked. Actually, before the official announcement, Miracle Commerce had already used their super loudspeaker to bombard the entire city for several days. From the rich and powerful to the commoners, there was no one who didn't know about it. Lin Fan was one of them. Lin Fan was 16 years old, 5th body refinement layer cultivator. He was born in a normal family and was a poor child. His biggest dream was to break through to the 6th body refinement layer before he was 20 years old. Then he would rely on a powerful family, earn money, marry a wife, and have children, living an ordinary life. Over a month ago, Chu Tian had appeared out of nowhere. Lin Fan had been paying attention to this young man from the beginning. His ordinary and lowly background, his legendary rise, from seeing through the Han family's evil plan, to shocking the world at South Sky Summit, then defeating the 4 families, and finally beating the butt of one of the 4 young masters, Yi Wudao, in front of the terrifying demon god Yunling. All of these shocking actions were extremely shocking. Bold and unconstrained, with a unique and shocking talent. A real man's life was like this, happy with gratitude and hatred, blood surging, dying with no regrets. After Lin Han was deeply shocked and moved, he became a loyal worshipper of Chu Tian, madly collecting information about Chu Tian. Every time Miracle Commerce made a breakthrough, Lin Fan would feel happy for them. Gradually, Lin Fan's values, outlook on life, and ideals all changed. To live an ordinary life, that was not the life he wanted. Lin Fan wanted to break through his ordinary self, break through his ordinary hopes, break through his ordinary life. He decided to follow in Chu Tian's footsteps, to witness the rise of a miracle era. That's right, an era of miracles. This man could create an era of miracles. Thousands of years later, when countless people read about him in the history books, they would all be filled with respect and awe. Lin Fan felt that he was very lucky. He was born at the right time. He was born in the right place. He was about to see a living legend. Brother, a tall woman rushed in. Although she was dressed very simply, she looked beautiful and gentle. Have you heard? The Miracle Commerce store is about to open. Lin Xian, Lin Fan's sister. Lin Xian was at the 4th rank of body refinement, slightly weaker than her little brother. Lin Xian's dream was to become an alchemist, and like her little brother, she fanatically worshipped the miraculous youth, Chu Tian. Lin Fan slammed the table and stood up. Nonsense, how could I not know about such a big thing? Quick, look for Huzi, Nyo, and the others. We must hurry. Lin Xian and Lin Fan quickly contacted 5 or 6 youths. These youths were all very young. The oldest was no more than 20 years old, and the youngest was only 13 or 14 years old. They all had something in common. They were all full of youthful vigor. Their eyes were filled with the flames of struggle. They all had the same halo above their heads, Chu Tian's fanatical worship. In a shabby study, 8 hot-blooded youths sat together. The walls of the study were covered with newspaper clippings. Almost every piece of news had the words Chu Tian and miracle written on it. Today we are gathering in the Heavens Alliance. Everyone should know why. Heavens Alliance. It sounded very domineering. Actually, it was a small group of 8 people. The heaven in the Heavens Alliance was taken from Chu Tian's name. The so-called Heavens Alliance was actually the alliance that Chu Tian worshipped the most. A fat man stood up. Of course. We are going to support our idol. A girl excitedly said, Do you think we can see our idol today? We can. We definitely can. Lin Fan's eyes flashed with flames. Our idol store is about to open. Shouldn't we support it? Does that even need to be said? Those pills are too expensive. We definitely can't afford them. But if we pool our money to buy some electric lights, I think it won't be a problem. Everyone, let's pool our money. I have 2 gold and 16 silver. I have 1 gold, 58 silver, and 13 copper. The consumption of cultivation was too large. People from poor families wished they could split a single copper to spend. Normally they relied on hard labor and hunting teams to earn a bit of money, but it wasn't even enough for them to spend. But to support their idol, what did this bit of money count for? Let's go. We're going to reserve a spot. The 8 of them gathered 15 gold coins, and each person spent a few copper coins to buy dry rations and drinking water. That very night, they went to the Miracle Commerce store to reserve a spot. The store officially opened on the 2nd day. The 8 of them had gone the night before, so it could be imagined how enthusiastic they were. The Miracle Commerce store was located in the center of South Sky City. Miracle Commerce spent 500,000 gold coins to buy the largest and most luxurious building in South Sky City. In just a short 10 days, they had completed the basic renovations and opened it as a shopping center. When the 8 of them arrived, the Miracle Commerce store was already surrounded by people. Lin Xian knit her brows and said, These people actually came. There were quite a few familiar faces among these people, with a large portion of them being young people. They were all admirers of Chu Tian, so they came early to reserve a spot, hoping to see Chu Tian's glory. Other than that, there were also many businessmen and media people. The sun rose and set. An entire day passed by. The Miracle Commerce store was already filled with a sea of people. When dusk fell, everyone was filled with excitement. The Lin sisters clenched their fists. Although they hadn't slept for a day, they were still full of energy. Their faces were filled with anticipation and their eyes seemed to be glued to the closed door. Suddenly, all the light towers in Tiannan City's plaza were automatically turned on. The light immediately lit up the dusky plaza. The light towers in the nearby streets were also turned on. Tiannan City was filled with several long lines of light, which made people extremely excited. Why are these road lighthouses turning on by themselves? Could it be magic? Everyone was filled with excitement and confusion at the same time. Lin Fan and Lin Xian revealed looks of disdain. They didn't even know, so of course it was their idol who researched it. There was a light-blocking array inside the array. When the ambient light dropped to a certain degree, the light-blocking array would lose its effect and the illumination array would light up. The road lighthouses in the city, unless there was a problem, there was no need to manually operate them. This was a very convenient invention. This was a permanent solution. At this time, a melodious music came from the top of the store. That sound was enough to cover the entire plaza. It was light and long, calming people down. The noisy crowd suddenly quietened down. Loudspeakers. It was loudspeakers. Everyone could clearly see that on the top of the Miracle Commerce store, there were several large loudspeakers installed. The music was coming from these loudspeakers. Strange, where was the performer? Although they had seen Miracle Commerce's loudspeakers more than once, for the loudspeakers to sound meant that there was someone using them. Now they could only see the loudspeakers and no one, so how could the loudspeakers make a sound? Welcome everyone to the opening ceremony of the Miracle Commerce store. We invite the chairman to give a speech. The heavy doors of the store finally slowly opened and a golden light shined out. A man and a woman, two white figures, stepped on a luxurious red carpet, slowly walking out of the building. The woman was tall, had a noble temperament, a full figure, and a beauty that could topple cities. She was just like a fairy that descended to the mortal world, making it hard for people to have any thoughts of blasphemy. The young man was wearing a white robe, carrying a simple treasured sword on his back. He was handsome and confident, with a calm demeanor. That pair of jet black eyes were as bright as the stars, making people feel inferior. Meng Qingwu Chuteng, the two chairmen of Miracle Commerce. An awakened soul realm cultivator, a legend of South Sky City. Chu Tian. Lin Xian and Lin Fan finally saw their idol up close. They excitedly shouted out. It was like a dream, it was filled with an unreal feeling. Chu Tian and Meng Qingwu began to give a short speech. The two of them did not like to use flowery words, so their speech was short and powerful. After the speech, South Sky City's Mayor Nangong Yi, the Alchemist Guild's President Xiong Tianyan, the Symbol Master Guild's President Zhang Liqing, and several top business leaders of South Sky City all gave their speeches. How spectacular was this lineup? It could simply be called the most luxurious appearance in South Sky City's history. The Miracle Commerce store is about to officially open for business. On the first day of the Miracle Commerce store, we have prepared a total of 20,000 electric lamps and 60,000 items. Starting from today, for 7 days, the Miracle Commerce store will prepare over 100,000 gold coins worth of lucky draws every day. As long as you shop at the Miracle Commerce store, everyone will have a chance to draw a prize every day. I wish everyone good luck. The sound that came from the super loudspeaker spread across the crowd. When the Miracle Commerce store announced the opening, Lin Fan and the other 8 people excitedly roared out. They were the first to charge into the Miracle Commerce store. When they entered the Miracle Commerce store, everyone was stunned by the scene in front of them. This was simply a labyrinth. Medicine, talismans, weapons, materials, all kinds of daily necessities, and even food. There were several hundred Miracle Commerce sales attendants standing guard at their posts, waiting for customers to arrive. The interior of the Miracle Commerce store was as bright as day. All the chandeliers were self-made electric lamps, and they were the super luxurious ones. They were all carved from crystal and had very high light transmission. These luxurious lamps were priced at several tens of thousands of gold coins by Miracle Commerce. They were even more expensive than crystal lamps. It was hard to make crystal lamps look this luxurious. Miracle Commerce could freely design the structure of the electric lamps, so they could produce all kinds of luxurious lamps. Because of this, the price of the luxurious lamps was very high. The most expensive one could reach 100,000 gold coins, and it had already been reserved by the city lord's palace. Normal lamps were very cheap, ranging from 20 to 30 silver coins to 70 to 80 silver coins. The more expensive ones were only 1 gold coin. This kind of price was something normal people could accept because compared to crystal lamps of the same effect, the Miracle Commerce lamps were several tens or even 100 times cheaper. Moreover, they had a longer lifespan, less radiation, and less harmful substances, so they were much safer to use. Thank you for coming to the Miracle Commerce store. What goods do you need? We want to buy lamps. Lin Fan, Lin Xian, and the others quickly rushed to the center area. This place was dedicated to displaying all kinds of lamps. For poor cultivators like Lin Fan and Lin Xian, crystal lamps were undoubtedly luxurious. Every night, they could only use oil lamps and candles to study and research. This would undoubtedly bring a lot of inconvenience. Buying a good lamp to them was very meaningful. The 8 of them bought a household lamp for only 40 silver coins. In this era, this price was simply a miracle. They supported their idols. It also satisfied their needs. This was killing two birds with one stone. When they brought the lamps to the counter to pay the bill and were about to leave in satisfaction, they were suddenly stopped by the cashier. Everyone, please wait a moment. Miracle Commerce has prepared a gift worth over 100,000 gold coins. Everyone will have a chance to draw a prize every day. Do you want to draw a prize? Draw, why not draw? The fatty was the first to draw a prize. It's a pity that you did not draw any prizes, but we can give you a Du family's iron dagger as a consolation prize. Du family's iron dagger? This was worth at least several dozen silver coins. Miracle Commerce was truly rich. They were even this generous with a consolation prize? Lin Xian went up to draw. Congratulations, you've drawn the third prize. You've received 2 months of free lessons from the Alchemist Guild. Long live the idol. Lin Xian was so excited that she almost went crazy. 2 months of free lessons from the Alchemist Guild. This was more exciting to her than any material reward. The others all went up to draw. Congratulations, you've received the 4th prize. You've received a rock skin talisman. The rock skin talisman was the hottest selling talisman recently. It couldn't be bought on the market at all. Selling it for several dozen gold coins, this was more than what the 8 of them spent in Miracle Commerce combined. Miracle Commerce was truly a compassionate company. Everyone went up to draw. The others only received a consolation prize, a random gift of around 10 silver coins. But this was still not bad. Lin Fan was the last to go up. He excitedly reached his hand into the lottery box and pulled out a small golden ball. Congratulations! This is the first prize. You've received a Southern Cloud Commerce Chi refining pill. Everyone was stunned. They could only hear the sound of saliva being swallowed. Chapter 121. Training Chi Pill. The exclusive Training Chi Pill developed by Miracle Commerce. All the large families fought over it, but they couldn't even buy one. The underground market sold one Training Chi Pill for 10 to 20,000 gold coins. Lin Fan spent a few dozen silver coins to buy a table lamp and actually won a prize worth 10,000 gold coins. As long as he sold it, Lin Fan would become a millionaire with over 10,000 gold coins. He would no longer need to risk his life to hunt demon beasts for a few gold coins. What kind of luck was this? It was enough to make people crazy with jealousy. The loudspeaker began to broadcast. The news was directly sent to every corner of the shopping center. The people who were shopping were all stunned when they heard this. They even had Training Chi pills. Wasn't Miracle Commerce too generous? The entire atmosphere became 10 times hotter. Chu Tian personally placed a bottle with the pill in it into Lin Fan's hands. This is your prize, your luck isn't bad. Lin Fan, Lin Xian and the others were so excited they almost fainted. Originally winning the prize was a surprise that fell from the sky, but what was even more unexpected was that Chu Tian would personally deliver the prize. Being able to be so close to their idol, how could these youths not be excited? They were so nervous they couldn't even speak. Chu Tian clapped his hands. The prize is a bit expensive, so I will send a few Miracle Commerce guards to escort you home for free. You don't need to worry about your safety. Too considerate. Miracle Commerce's service was too satisfying. A few Miracle Commerce guards immediately came out and escorted the 6 of them back to their residences. When they returned home, Lin Fan regained his senses. He tightly held the Training Chi pill in his hand, but his heart was in a dilemma. He could choose to sell it and exchange it for a lifetime of money, or he could choose to use the Training Chi pill to increase his strength a bit and have more opportunities to chase after a wider space. 2 choices. No matter which one he chose, he could lose a lot of things. This was a simple choice. The others knew what Lin Fan was thinking. Lin Xian encouraged him, "Little brother, don't hesitate. No matter what you do, we will support you." Lin Fan gratefully nodded his head. He did not think too long about this problem. He turned on his table lamp and the light instantly illuminated the entire table. Under the soft and bright light, the countless newspaper fragments on the table and wall were like a belief that poured into Lin Fan's heart, giving him endless courage. I've decided. I want to become stronger. Lin Fan directly swallowed the Chi refining pill. The effects of the qi refining pill were not in vain. On the spot, his strength rose to the 6th rank of body refinement. Reaching the 6th rank of body refinement at the age of 17 was rare in the entire Tiannan city. It was enough for him to shine in the summit competition. At least 2 to 3 years of bitter cultivation. This was all brought about by miracle commerce. Lin Xian gave him a hug excitedly. Congratulations. The other 6 people were also sincerely happy for Lin Fan. Fatty shouted excitedly, "Come, let's go drink and celebrate." The curtain of night fell and the sky was filled with stars. It was already late at night. The 8 youths bought a few barrels of low-quality beer and climbed to the top of a dilapidated building. As far as the eye could see, most of the main streets of Tiannan City were shrouded in lights. Many homes also had electric lights on. It was dotted with stars. It shone with the stars in the sky. Miracle commerce really did it. A month ago when it was founded, Meng Qingwu made a passionate promise that miracle commerce would light up the entire Tiannan city. At the time, most people thought it was just a slogan. Who would have thought that in a short month, they would actually accomplish it? If this trend continued, sooner or later Tiannan city would be shrouded in the light of a miracle. The entire central state would be shrouded in the light of a miracle. The entire southern Xia would be lit up. It would even break through the borders of the mainland and become a shining light of miracle. Lin Fan and the others were overwhelmed with emotions. Would this moment be recorded in the annals of history in the years to come? Would it become a legend that was passed down by bards? They had once again witnessed a miracle. Cheers! For our idols! We have to work hard. We may not be strong enough right now, but we will definitely become a member of miracle commerce. The 8 hot-blooded youths raised their wine cups high. Facing the night sky, facing the lights of the city, they made heroic words that would motivate them to move forward in their lives. In Tiannan City, it was unknown how many of these youths there were. Chu Tian had not only changed the lives of the citizens, he had also become a role model for countless youths, making them willing to follow in his footsteps. The next day, the headquarters of Miracle Commerce were extremely busy. Meng Yingying was in charge of the statistics. On the first day of business, the numbers were simply shocking. They had actually sold 3 million gold coins worth of goods. Meng Yingying almost suspected that she had made a mistake. She carefully calculated it a few times and it was indeed the numbers. The entire business had been swept clean. Of the 3 million gold coins, 1.5 million came from Miracle Commerce's goods. The other 1.5 million came from the other companies in Tiannan City selling their goods to Miracle Commerce. This was too shocking. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes. When Nan Gongyi found out about Miracle Commerce's glorious results, he was no longer pleasantly surprised, but rather terrified. How could the people of Tiannan City have this kind of terrifying purchasing power? Tiannan City's economy had been strongly stimulated by Miracle Commerce. The mayor's palace had suffered a large loss. Miracle Commerce was currently tax-free. No matter how glorious Miracle Commerce's results were, as long as it was Miracle Commerce's goods, the mayor's palace would not receive a single copper coin as tax. Miracle Commerce's profits were very shocking. A luxurious chandelier worth 100,000 gold coins. The total cost was less than 1,000 gold coins. A qi refining pill sold for 10 to 20,000 gold coins in the underground market. The total cost was less than a few hundred gold coins. Miracle Commerce had become Tiannan City's most profitable and most powerful company. When Nan Gongyi's face was filled with depression, Meng Qingwu came to find Nan Gongyi and talked to him about becoming a shareholder. What? Let me become a shareholder? Nan Gongyi simply did not dare believe it. What conditions? Tell me. Meng Qingwu nodded her head. Miracle Commerce currently does not lack money. We will transfer 10% of the company's shares and you will be the company's manager. You will be responsible for coordinating the company's layout and spreading relations with suppliers. It was not Miracle Commerce's shares. It was just the company. Meng Qingwu said, Miracle Commerce's goal is to become the largest trading platform in the country, so we need the support of the Nangong family. The mayor is an elder of the Nangong family, so you will be the company's manager. This is very suitable for the company's expansion strategy. Meng Qingwu came to give him the shares. Of course, there was a favor involved. But Meng Qingwu was a shrewd businesswoman. She was thinking more about the company's development. Nangong Yi was an elder of the Nangong family and he was hard to find, so he had a large growth potential. Once he became the manager, it would be a great help to the company's expansion. Meng Qingwu was not trying to win over Nangong Yi, but rather the Nangong family's support and resources. To let Nangong Yi understand, Meng Qingwu clearly introduced her plan. The Miracle Commerce Store was called the Miracle Department Store and was also called the Miracle Supermarket. It was an integrated retail model that was rarely seen in southern Xia and even on the continent. There were as many companies on the continent as there were hairs on an ox and as dense as the stars in the sky. Even if it was the same product, different companies would sell it at different prices. There were all kinds of repeated marketing strategies that made it hard for the consumers to grasp. The continent was vast and the species were complex. Each region and each environment had their own specialties and special products, but it was hard for them to circulate among each other. The Miracle Commerce Store wanted to create a large-scale, affordable chain store. It could stabilize the price for a long time and sell a few popular products, attracting a large amount of popularity for the company. Other than producing and selling their own products, they also had the concept of a platform. Meng Qingwu was prepared to bring in the best and most cost-effective suppliers. They would provide high-quality products for the company to sell and Miracle Commerce would take a cut of the profits. In South Sky City, the Miracle Commerce Store had already reached an agreement with several manufacturers. So when the Miracle Commerce Store opened, not only would there be products from Miracle Commerce, there would also be products from several companies in South Sky City. That was why they had a total of 3 million in sales. These companies would supply a portion of their products to the Miracle Commerce Store and sell them through Miracle Commerce's channels. Miracle Commerce would take a cut of the profits as compensation. This was actually a win-win situation. Miracle Commerce was currently the largest company. The other companies were worried that Miracle Commerce would wildly expand and swallow the other companies. But now the situation was different. Not only did Miracle Commerce not swallow the other companies, it even gave them a chance to take out their best products and sell them on the Miracle Commerce Store's platform. There would be more and more Miracle Commerce Store stores. The Miracle Commerce's influence would spread even more. This also meant that as long as the quality of the products was up to standard, their products would follow the Miracle Commerce Store and be sold to nearby cities, even to the main city. Each city had its own special products. Only in a closed society, other people's territories had already formed their own ecosystem. Unless there was a company like Miracle Commerce that was filled with competition and had the ability to expand like a wolf. Just think about it. Which city could resist the enticement of electric lights? Just think about it. Which city could resist the beauty of source energy cooking? In the future, there would be all kinds of talismans, pills, and even magical things like radios. With these stepping stones, Miracle Commerce could easily break into the markets of all the major cities. They had the confidence to find strong partners in each city. This was a company with the potential of the entire country. What reason did they have to reject it? From a consumer's point of view, not only was it convenient for their lives, they could buy most of the things they needed in their lives in a single store. They could also buy all kinds of special medicines, talismans, and other products at a reasonable price. This was something that was hard to achieve in the past. From a Miracle Commerce's point of view, Miracle Commerce did not need to personally make large amounts of production lines, they only needed to invest in and control a few manufacturers. They would have them supply Miracle Commerce Store for a long time, turning Miracle Commerce Store into a strong mothership. No matter where this mothership went, it would be invincible. This was because the mothership carried the best products and technology from different cities. How could the local companies compete with them? There was no doubt. Meng Qingwu's business ideas were ahead of the current era. Miracle Commerce could use the electric lights and their own top-quality products to sell in the company. Would they be afraid that the company wouldn't welcome them? As long as the company was popular, would they be afraid of not being able to attract partners? Strong competitiveness. adding a strong protective umbrella. Miracle Commerce Store's success was inevitable. Meng Qingwu was filled with confidence. Nangong Yi was stunned by Meng Qingwu's words. With Chu Tian's talent and your wisdom, with your combination, Southern Xia's sky will change. Meng Qingwu revealed a faint smile. My little cleverness is just icing on the cake. Chu Tian's talent and wisdom is the core. It was a good thing Chu Tian wasn't here. Otherwise his nose would have been raised to the sky. What does the city lord think about it? There's no need to think about it. This kind of good thing, how could I reject it? I'll be the manager of the company. Meng Qingwu took out several contracts. After signing the contract, you'll officially join Miracle Commerce. Please take a look at the things you need to pay attention to. You represent the Nangong family, but you can't destroy the company's core benefits. Otherwise, Miracle Commerce will have the right to buy back your shares. Nangong Yi said with a sigh, Chairman Meng is very cautious. Under your management, Miracle Commerce will be watertight. Nangong Yi looked over the contracts a few times. They all signed their names. From now on, the city lord is also a member of Miracle Commerce. Meng Qingwu nodded in satisfaction. Then she took out a jade slip and gave it to Nangong Yi. This is the Starlight Immortal Bodied Cultivation Technique. Only the high-level members of Miracle Commerce have the qualifications to practice it. Once you've memorized it, burn it. This is the company's secret and cannot be leaked. Starlight Immortal Body? Nangong Yi revealed a look of joy. This incomparably strong defensive cultivation technique, Nangong Yi had been drooling over it for a long time. With his volcano source spirit, its destructive might was very shocking, but it took a long time to gather and it was easy for him to be injured in close combat. If he had a strong enough defensive cultivation technique, Nangong Yi was confident that with his 4th awakened soul layer strength, he could fight against a 5th awakened soul layer expert. Chapter 122. Another half a week passed. Now the Miracle Commerce Store's operations were stabilizing. South Sky City's large and small media outlets all reported and followed them. The high sales of the Miracle Commerce Store deeply impacted the hearts of countless citizens. This kind of new business model and Miracle Commerce's strong ability attracted many merchants from other cities to discuss cooperation, hoping to sell their products on the Miracle Commerce Store. Meng Qingwu followed a principle. Whoever had good products, who had a high price-to-performance ratio, would be able to enter the Miracle Commerce Store's platform. Miracle Commerce only provided the platform and the various companies competed fairly. When Miracle Commerce reached a new peak in South Sky City, Chu Tian finally made the decision to leave South Sky City and enter Central State City. South Sky City was a small place. The resources were not rich enough and the background was not strong enough. Whether it was Chu Tian or Miracle Commerce, they could not stay in this small place forever. Central State City was a state's main city. The 4 great families, Chu, Luo, Yi, and Yun, each had experts like clouds. Any family had several times more awakened soul cultivators than all of South Sky City. Above the 4 great families, there was the Feng family. With Shen Fengho and Feng Yuntian overseeing it, they had a high status. Below the 4 great families, like the Jing family and the Xiong family, there were many large families. Any one of these families could easily kill the strongest family in South Sky City. This was the strength of a main city. This was the background of a main city. Why could a main city cultivate so many experts and give birth to so many large families? It was all because Central State was the most abundant in the entire state. It had the best geographical environment, the most abundant spiritual energy, the countless heaven and earth treasures, and the crystal mines were everywhere. Looking at the entire southern Xia, the resources of the Central State main city could be ranked in the top 10 of the entire kingdom. Chu Tian had already stepped into the awakened soul realm and South Sky City could no longer satisfy his growth. It was hard to even find a level 1 elixir. How could he improve if he stayed here for a long time? Whether it was for Miracle Commerce or for his own growth, Chu Tian had to leave this time and the sooner the better. Chu Tian told his thoughts to the Meng Qingwu sisters. This was something they had discussed beforehand, so the 2 sisters did not have any objections. Chu Tian said to the two of them, "Our main city has made too many enemies, so it's not suitable for us to enter the main city with great fanfare. We have to sneak in, otherwise it'll be difficult to move an inch." "You still have some self-awareness," Meng Yingying said unhappily. "You've offended all three great clans in one go. Now that we're going to their territory to develop, will they give us any face? I'm afraid there will be many difficulties and dangers. So I decided to go first." Meng Yingying's eyes widened. "You're going to act alone again?" Chu Tian nodded his head and said, "Miracle commerce has just developed to a new peak. The young miss has a lot of things to deal with every day and can't leave even if she wants to. As for you, you can stay and help your sister. If you have nothing to do, learn from her." That was indeed the case. Meng Qingwu couldn't leave for the time being. Miracle commerce had just been established and it was a long-term strategic project. Meng Qingwu could only feel assured if she did it herself. From a safety point of view, Chu Tian had the ability to hide himself when he entered the main city. If he brought the Meng Qingwu sisters, they would definitely be discovered by their enemies. It was unknown how many dangers they would encounter on the road. Meng Yingying had a look of discouragement. Elder sister couldn't go because elder sister was strong. Miracle commerce couldn't do without her. As for Yingying not going, it was because there was no use in bringing her along. Instead, it would easily expose Chu Tian. Although it was a bit depressing, Meng Yingying had to admit that this was the truth. Half a month. Chu Tian made a rough estimate. "Give me half a month and I'll spread the name of Miracle Commerce in Central State. It won't be too late for you to come at that time." Chu Tian decided to use the same trick again. He changed his appearance again, faking his identity and entering the city without changing his expression. He would first contact Nangong Yun in the main city and secretly build a foundation. When the time was right, he would reveal his identity. With lightning-fast speed, Miracle Commerce would quickly gain a foothold in the main city. In order to be secretive, Chu Tian didn't even want to bring the 18 Corps soldiers. The 18 Corps soldiers could fight against a peak 4th awakened soul layer expert, but if he brought the Corps soldiers with him, it would be very easy to reveal his identity. This would go against his original intentions. Meng Yingying's large eyes were filled with worry. "Can you really go to the main city alone?" Chu Tian casually waved his hand. "What are you worried about? Don't you believe in my skills? There's no one in this world that can take me in. You can relax in South Sky City and cultivate. I'll handle everything in the main city. You can't be lazy. If your cultivation base and Starlight Immortal body don't increase in 2 weeks, be careful of me spanking your butt." Meng Yingying's face turned red and she angrily said, "Relax. I'll definitely surpass you." Meng Qingwu knit her brows and thought about it for a few seconds. This was indeed the most appropriate method. Miracle Commerce was currently at its busiest and the Central State families would never have thought that Chu Tian would enter the main city at this time. She nodded and said, "What do you need? I'll prepare it for you." Chu Tian replied, "Central State's environment is different from South Sky City. The families there are very strong. If I bring South Sky City's current technology, like the electric lamp or the source energy pot, to Central State City, I'll definitely be discovered. So if I want to remain calm, I can only take out other things." Meng Qingwu blurted out, "Make magnetic sound towers and radios?" "That's right, this is one of the plans." Chu Tian paused and then said, "It's best if Miracle Commerce doesn't send out large amounts of materials to avoid being noticed by the Central State forces. Hidden Soundtown's mines have always been controlled by Tianshan Chamber of Commerce, therefore Tianshan Chamber of Commerce must have enough hidden sound stones. I only need to bring 5 million gold coins. Directly bring cash. Buy whatever you need." Reducing contact with Miracle Commerce like this was undoubtedly the safest way. Meng Qingwu gathered as much money as she could and exchanged 7 million gold coins for gold cards. Each card had 10,000 gold coins and there was a total of 700 of them. Chu Tian turned back into the ordinary-looking young man Lu Ren. He changed into a rogue cultivator's clothes and wrapped it in a rag. He stuffed the large sum of money into it and prepared to leave on the same day. "You have to be careful. Me and elder sister will leave in half a month. Meng Ying sent Chu Tian out with a face filled with worry and melancholy. Don't worry, when have I ever disappointed anyone? Chu Tian pinched her nose and gave a few loud laughs. I'll leave first, I'll see you in half a month. Meng Ying watched Chu Tian's back as he left. She chased after him to the door and shouted, You be careful on the other side, I'll definitely work hard to cultivate and study. This little girl. South Sky City was given to Meng Qingwu. Chu Tian was not worried at all. Nangong Yi, Xiong Tianyan, Zhang Liqing, and Xiong Bing, the four of them were enough to provide a solid backing for miracle commerce. Meng Qingwu's own ability was not bad. After studying with Chu Tian these days, Meng Qingwu had become half a student of Chu Tian. Because she had the heavenly book source spirit, Meng Qingwu had a learning ability that surpassed normal people. Although she hadn't studied for a long time, Meng Qingwu had already completely grasped the technology of the main products. Even if Chu Tian wasn't here, Meng Qingwu had enough ability to support the technology. Just like this. Chu Tian bought a high-quality horse and rode it in the direction of the main city. On the road, Chu Tian thought a lot. From arriving in this era to meeting Meng Ying, the young miss, and Nangong Yun, he found that he had completely integrated himself into this place. But miracle commerce had reached the small success stage. Chu Tian had an indifferent appearance on the surface, but it made Meng Qingwu and Meng Ying feel that the entire company was just a tool for him to make money and cultivate. It was just a dispensable plaything. Actually, Chu Tian was happier than anyone else in his heart. This was a very good start. Chu Tian believed that if this trend continued, miracle commerce would expand in the next few years. It would wantonly occupy the continent's resources and become a supergiant. When Chu Tian had enough material, strength, and technology, he could begin to move towards his goal and dream. Break the shackles of life and death. Explore the domain of life and death. Break the shackles of time and space and explore the unknown world. There were too many things that Chu Tian wanted to do. These things could not be achieved in his previous life, but now there was still hope. Chu Tian would continue walking in this direction. South Sky City was 1,000 kilometers away from the main city. Chu Tian rode a demon beast bloodline horse, but it took him a full 2 days to reach the main city. The main city had a superior location. To the east was an endless mountain range. The primeval forest covered more than 1,000 miles. There were many rare beasts and heavenly treasures. The outer area had already begun to be developed. Mines, forests, and hunting grounds were very densely distributed. To the south was a boundless grassland. The land was fertile and rich in resources. There were tens of thousands of tamed cattle and sheep. Large areas of the mountains were filled with all kinds of medicinal herbs and spirit fields. To the north was a vast misty lake. There were thousands of boats and large amounts of goods piled up at the docks. There were tens of thousands of workers loading and unloading goods. The grassland, lake, forest, and the main city stood in the center. The city was made of white stone and looked like a white fortress. It had a total of 4 to 5 layers of walls. The deeper one went, the thicker the walls became. It was both exquisite and majestic. It was like an incomparably large trapezoid, filled with an artistic feeling. This was the Central State main city. Abundant spiritual energy, blessed by the heavens, convenient transportation, and flourishing. Chu Tian could clearly see that there were many ancient ruins around Central State City. Even the inside of Central State City gave off a strong ancient aura. There was a very ancient and natural restriction that forcefully gathered the surrounding spiritual energy for several hundred miles around Central State City. Chu Tian had never seen this kind of restriction before. From the style, it did not seem like it was made by humans. It could be the work of an ancient race. If his guess wasn't wrong, Central State City was a city built on ruins. Central State City itself had a very deep secret. There were even hidden treasures left behind from ancient times. No wonder it was so rich. Chapter 123. Chu Tian was like a travel-worn traveler as he walked into the city. Central State City streets were several times wider than South Sky City's, and each street was split into 2, one big and one small. One was for beast carts and the other was for people. Beast carts came and went on the streets and it did not seem to be congested at all. Central State City is truly extraordinary. Chu Tian looked around. On the streets of Central State City, there were all kinds of shops, dojos, and training halls. The streets were filled with cultivators and they were all dressed very well. Each person belonged to a different family. The color of their clothes, their family's totem, and etc. The flags were very clear and eye-catching. It was easy to tell which family or power a person belonged to with a single glance. Chu Tian was dressed like a rogue cultivator and this kind of person was not liked by others. In this day and age, if one did not have any power, one could not do anything. What kind of future could a rogue cultivator have? Chu Tian did not care about the strange gazes of the passers-by. He continued to aimlessly stroll around, enjoying the bustling scenery of Central State City. Central State City had a well-known Central State Academy. It had tens of thousands of students and could be considered a medium-sized sect. Because of this, Central State City not only had a luxurious business atmosphere, it also had a strong academic atmosphere. No matter where one went, one could see dojos and training halls. Speaking of Central State Academy, Chu Tian thought of Nangong Yun. She had been here for a while, so she should be doing quite well. It wasn't that Chu Tian did not think of going to Central State Academy to find Nangong Yun, but Central State Academy was very big and Chu Tian did not know where to look. If he went to ask around, it would be hard to guarantee that his identity would not be leaked. He would wait for a bit. There was no need to rush. While Chu Tian was walking on the street, he suddenly heard a few low roars behind him. 8 horsemen riding ferocious giant tigers were fiercely rushing towards him. They drove away all the carriages that were passing by, and used their long whips to beat the peddlers and servants, forcibly opening up a wide road. Scram! All of you scram! The heavenly sword young master has arrived, all unrelated people scram. The knight's ferocious appearance had originally aroused the dissatisfaction of the people, but when they heard that it was the heavenly sword young master, they were all scared to retreat, not even daring to complain. Chu Tian narrowed his eyes and said to himself, "Heavenly sword young master? It was that Chu Xinghe. This fellow is too overbearing." The little fox also nodded. It was rare for it to agree with its master. "What do you know? Who is the heavenly sword young master? He's the #1 genius of the Central State. This is the face of our Central State City and the pride of Central State City. If you dare speak carelessly, be careful of your life." Several passers-by began to reprimand Chu Tian, as if belittling the heavenly sword young master was the same as belittling Central State City. This made Chu Tian feel very uncomfortable. Who was he, Chu Xinghe, to represent a city? At this moment, go! Hiya! Hiya! 3 rows of silver-robed Chu clan swordsmen galloped over. Every single Chu clan swordsman was dressed exactly the same, and they were all mounted on azure jade dragon scale colts. This was an extremely powerful warhorse, 2 meters tall, with a body as hard as metal and stone. It could travel 10,000 miles in a single day, and it also possessed the battle prowess of the peak of the 9th layer of body refinement. 3 rows of knights, each row had 8, for a total of 24. Each one of them had an incomparably strong aura. There were already people in the crowd that cried out, 24 heavenly sword guards. Each one of them has a strength at the 2nd awakened soul layer and has an ancient cultivation technique passed down by the heavenly sword young master. They follow the heavenly sword young master all year round and sweep in all directions. They are the most loyal guards of the heavenly sword young master and the strongest protectors of the Central State Chu family. This is the power of the heavenly sword young master? He really is worthy of being the heavenly sword young master. The rogue cultivators were all shocked when they saw this. The guards were all at the 2nd awakened soul layer and there were a total of 24 of them. They were all fierce-looking and it was clear they cultivated a special cultivation technique. Their battle strength was much stronger than normal 2nd awakened soul layer cultivators. The heavenly sword young master was truly terrifying. After the 24 celestial sword guards passed by, There were a few rows of magnificent and solemn guards of honor. The horses they chose were all majestic and beautiful white jade war horses, which were 3 feet taller than ordinary horses. Over 100 cavalrymen with golden spears in their hands were sitting on the huge white jade war horses, escorting a beast carriage in a majestic manner as it slowly drove over. What kind of beast carriage was this? His entire body was golden, radiating light in all directions. The moment he appeared, everyone present felt their minds tremble violently. It was as if they had seen an ancient god slowly rising from the end of the earth. That majestic and domineering aura was like a king inspecting his own territory. The boundless pressure was like a tsunami that covered the sky and covered the earth, making everyone feel so insignificant. The golden beast carriage was pulled by 2 giant creatures. These creatures had the 4 limbs of tigers and the body of a flood dragon. They were majestic and dignified, with an incomparably strong aura that made it hard for people to look at them. Tiger flood dragon. An ancient species, tiger flood dragon. The rogue cultivators that saw the heavenly sword young master for the first time were all excited, almost wanting to bow down. The tiger flood dragon was an ancient species that had the bloodline of a flood dragon. Its strength was terrifying and tyrannical. Just these 2 tiger flood dragons pulling the carriage had already reached the triple awakened soul realm, and there was still a lot of room for growth. The moment the tiger flood dragon golden carriage passed through the streets, the air seemed to freeze. Everyone felt a stabbing pain in their bodies, like a majestic mountain was pressing down on their shoulders. Greetings to the heavenly sword young master. Greetings to the heavenly sword young master. In front of this strong pressure, everyone unconsciously knelt down. This scene was like a noble going out on a journey. Chu Tian felt the aura coming from the tiger flood dragon golden carriage, and his brows slightly turned serious. Whether it was this powerful golden carriage or these 2 majestic tiger flood dragons, they were not things that Central State City should have. There was only one possibility. Chu Xinghe had obtained some kind of ancient inheritance, and these were all inherited items. He never thought that he would have such luck. It would be hard for such a person not to be strong. There were 2 bodyguards on the left and right of the tiger flood dragon golden carriage. One of them was a person dressed like a scholar, and the other was a one-eyed burly man. The person dressed like a scholar was none other than the life-snatching scholar who had lost to Chu Tian not long ago, Chu Tongwen. Everyone present knelt down because of the heavenly sword young master's pressure. Only Chu Tian was still standing straight, so Chu Tian was very eye-catching. Chu Tongwen looked over and instantly saw him. His expression instantly changed. It's him. Wasn't this the Lu Ren he met not long ago? But for some reason, after not seeing him for a few days, he had become younger. A cold and arrogant voice came from the golden carriage. This brat can block my pressure without kneeling. It seems like he has some skills. Does Mr. Tongwen know him? Chu Tongwen hesitated for a few seconds and did not say the truth because of his face. He has offended me before, but we don't have much of a relationship. Ha ha. The one-eyed man suddenly laughed. Since he has offended old brother Tongwen, how can we let him stand in Central State City alive? Let me, Chu Batian, take his little life for old brother Tongwen. Chu Tongwen's expression changed. He wanted to stop him, but it was already too late. The one-eyed man stomped on the ground and teleported from the side of the golden carriage, appearing directly above Chu Tian. Large amounts of runes condensed on his right fist as he wildly laughed. Brat, your luck is very bad. Die for me. There was no reason. There was no fear. Just because Chu Tian did not kneel after seeing the heavenly sword young master's carriage, the one-eyed man wanted to kill Chu Tian on the street, wanting to take Chu Tian's life on the spot. This fist was like a giant mountain pressing down on him. The one-eyed man did not care about the lives of the bystanders. Chu Tian's expression slightly changed. The one-eyed man had a triple awakened soul strength, so it was not easy for Chu Tian to deal with him. He could only condense the starlight immortal body's power and forcefully block this attack. That terrifying strength pushed Chu Tian back several feet, and the surrounding people all spat out blood from their internal injuries. The starlight around Chu Tian's body cracked and he almost exploded on the spot. This large man had such a strong destructive might. This fellow should not have used his full strength. Chu Batian revealed a surprised expression. A trivial first awakened soul layer cultivator can block 50% of my strength, but you won't be so lucky with this fist. Batian, come back. Chu Batian was prepared to shatter the other side's defenses, but a voice came from the Tiger Dragon Gold Carriage. Chu Batian was a bit stunned and could only obediently retreat. The Tiger Dragon Gold Carriage slowly moved forward. When it passed by Chu Tian, a voice came from inside. Young man, your talent is not bad, it would be a pity if you died here. Pledge your loyalty to me and become my servant. I can personally guide you in your cultivation. Become your servant? And guide me in my cultivation? Chu Tian had lived 2 lifetimes. This was the first time someone had said they would guide him in his cultivation. Chu Tian gave a cold smile and said word by word, "This, old man, is not rare." Silence. The scene was completely silent. Everyone's expression changed. The Heavenly Sword young master Chu Xinghe had personally recruited him and even said he would guide him. What kind of honor was this? Chu Xinghe was the only person in Central State City that had the chance to become a royal noble in the future. How many awakened soul cultivators wanted to follow him even in their dreams? This nameless youth, this nameless rogue cultivator, in front of everyone, with an extremely disdainful attitude, he had rejected the Heavenly Sword young master's invitation. This was slapping the Heavenly Sword young master's face. As expected, from the Tiger Dragon Gold Carriage, a terrifying aura suddenly filled the air, making everyone feel a suffocating pressure. That voice became cold and terrifying. This really is the stupidest choice. Why? Chu Tian faced this tsunami-like aura, but he still did not move. Your Excellency has no virtue, I disdain to be with you. This one's bones are hard, I cannot bend my back. Your Excellency has no virtue, I disdain to be with you. This one's bones are hard, I cannot bend my back. These words were like pieces of golden bricks that smashed heavily on the ground, shattering the sturdy floorboards and emitting an earth-shattering boom. The thousands of soldiers kneeling on the ground all had a look of horror on their faces. What kind of character was this? What kind of courage was this? Even when facing a heaven's pride like the Heavenly Sword young master, this youth was still not willing to put down his dignity. Did he ever think about the consequences of his actions? Dignity, was it really more important than his life? Chapter 124. Chu Tongwen and Chu Batian both revealed a look of shock. The two of them were not from the Chu family, but rather from the common folk. Whether it was because they feared the Heavenly Sword young master's strength, or because they respected the Heavenly Sword young master's fame, or because they chose their masters, they chose to abandon their surnames and became the Heavenly Sword young master Chu Xinghe's subordinates. The Heavenly Sword young master's peerless style was something that no one in Central State could look up to. No matter who it was, they would feel inferior when they saw this kind of person. What kind of confident person was this? What kind of arrogance was this? Only they could resist the Heavenly Sword young master's peerless glory. The two of them were the Heavenly Sword young master's people. Chu Tongwen even had a grudge with Chu Tian, but in this short moment, they looked at this nameless youth in a new light and even felt a sense of admiration. Because what they could not do, this youth had done it. But that was it. The tallest tree in the forest would be destroyed by the wind. From today onwards, this youth would no longer exist in this world. No matter how outstanding he was, it would be useless. Chu Xinghe's voice was very calm, like a king interrogating a commoner. It was filled with an irresistible majesty. Everyone in Central State City knows what the result of offending this young master is. You seem to be very confident, so this young master will give you a chance. These words were like a reward. I will only use and I will suppress my cultivation to the same level as you. The Heavenly Sword young master Chu Xinghe's voice was ethereal and bright, just like a spiritual god. It was as if the wind and clouds were stirred. If you can block this sword and not die, then you have the qualifications to continue living. Otherwise, you will forever disappear from this world. When everyone heard this, they all pitied this youth. Because when the heavenly sword young master said these words, this youth was already a dead man. The heavenly sword young master had a very famous name. That was to kill Chu Xinghe. It was said that at the same level and realm, no one had ever been able to block his sword. Even the other 3 young masters were no exception. The heavenly sword young master's strength had already surpassed everyone's imagination. Even famous figures like Chu Tongwen and Chu Badian were defeated by Chu Xinghe with a single sword strike. From then on, they were willing to serve Chu Xinghe. This sword was the Nether King's invitation. A smile appeared on Chu Tian's face. You seem to be very confident that you can kill me with 1 strike. Then, I'll play with you. Let's not talk about 1 strike. 2 strikes or even 3 strikes. How about that? The central continent city citizens were all speechless. He was really a newborn calf that was not afraid of the tiger. He was already at death's door, yet he was still so stubborn. Even if the heavenly sword young master suppressed his strength to the first awakened soul layer, his full strength slash was enough to kill a triple awakened soul. His strength had already surpassed common sense. Chu Xinghe's cold voice rang out, "Are you ready?" Chu Tian grinned. "Why do you need to prepare? Just bring it on." In that instant, the air in all 4 directions surged and a strong aura began to condense. This pressure was very strong. Not to mention a normal first awakened soul layer cultivator, if they were to face this terrifying pressure, they would freeze on the spot and lose their ability to fight. At this time, golden spirit energy soared into the sky. A fierce 4-clawed flood dragon appeared, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. The flood dragon's body was covered in golden scales and each scale was covered in runes. It was filled with a deep and vast divine might. After circling around the golden carriage a few times, suddenly, "Soul Sword Secret Art." A vigorous and forceful voice rang out from within the golden chariot. At the same time, a golden sword soared into the sky. The flood dragon abruptly chased after it and drilled its head into the golden sword, becoming one with the sword. The light that suddenly erupted was like a sun that illuminated the earth. It appeared. The golden flood dragon sword. The legendary heavenly sword young master's source spirit. The strongest sword source spirit that the central state Chu family had in the last several hundred years. This golden flood dragon sword, not only did it have an unparalleled destructive might, it also contained the might of a flood dragon. Wherever the sword pointed, it would be invincible. Heaven-cutting art. The strongest move of the central state Chu family's soul sword secret art. Chu Xinghe's strength was much stronger than people imagined. His soul sword secret art had not only been mastered, it had already reached the large success realm. It had even reached the perfection realm. Once the heaven-cutting style was used, the golden flood dragon sword seemed to have the power to split the heavens and earth. The fierce momentum was condensed to its peak in a short period of time, leaving a deep sword mark on the road. It instantly arrived in front of Chu Tian. Down, left, right. All the space was sealed. It made it impossible for Chu Tian to dodge this slash. Chu Tian's body was covered in a glass like starlight. He pulled out the netherworld sword from his back, and on the blade that was like ice, large amounts of runes lit up and blue and white flames covered it. Starlight glass body. The netherworld flame sword appeared in his hand. Chu Tian did not plan on dodging at all. Even if he was facing a strong pressure, he still fearlessly took a step forward. He brandished the flaming sword and heavily collided with this attack. The netherworld sword had the effect of absorbing energy and the netherworld flame had the effect of burning energy. Both of them could effectively weaken the opponent's attack. However, Chu Xinghe's slash was too strong. The power that was released in an instant completely surpassed the limit of what he could bear. Countless sword chi sprayed out, turning into tens of thousands of sharp needles. They rained down on Chu Tian's body like a storm. His starlight glass body, which was originally extremely sturdy, was instantly riddled with holes. It kept shattering. Chu Tian gave a loud roar. Spirit energy continued to pour out from his body as he used all his strength to activate the netherworld sword. He used all his strength to dissolve the golden flood dragon sword's power, and he used all his strength to repair the starlight immortal body, blocking the terrifying power of this slash. Scram for father. Chu Tian's wild netherworld sword slash sent the golden flood dragon sword flying. It circled in the air before flying back into the golden carriage. Chu Tian used the sword to support his body, and his breathing became a bit rushed. His clothes were completely torn, and there were at least several hundred small wounds on his body. Blood dyed half of his body red in the blink of an eye. Even so, he was still standing and did not fall down. Even if he was heavily injured, he would still break Chu Xinghe's sword. Everyone was shocked. The young man had really blocked Chu Xinghe's slash. He did not even take half a step back and was still standing in the same place. The legend of the Heavenly Sword Young Master's 1/kill. It had actually been broken by a normal-looking young man. This was enough to shake Central State City. Chu Tian wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and broke out in laughter. Heavenly Sword Young Master Chu Xinghe? Even if you have the large success cultivation technique, you are still only this strong. What are you so arrogant about? What qualifications do you have to make me your servant? Chu Batin flew into a rage. I'll go kill him. Forget it. Chu Xinghe's voice came from the golden carriage. This young master will keep his words. Since you can block my slash, I'll let you live this time. This young master has been unrivaled in the same generation for too long. I need 1 or 2 decent opponents. You have a lot of potential. If you die now, it's too much of a pity. I'll wait for you to grow up and challenge me again. At that time, I'll openly kill you. Chu Badian stared at Chu Tian and said, Brat, consider yourself lucky. Chu Xinghe said in a low voice, Let's go. The Heavenly Sword Young Masters group gradually went far away. Everyone slowly gasped for breath. Each person's face was filled with shock. What happened here today? It would take at most 2-3 days for the news to spread across Central State. Chu Tian turned and walked into the crowd. Netherworld flickering flame. He could not stay here for long. Chu Tian instantly used his sword art and quickly entered the Netherworld, disappearing from the crowd. The nameless youth had blocked the Heavenly Sword Young Master's slash. The legend of killing with 1 slash had been destroyed. Everyone began to discuss. What is the background of this youth? He can actually block the Heavenly Sword Young Master. No. It's not as simple as blocking. The Heavenly Sword Young Master suppressed his cultivation to the same realm, but the Heavenly Sword Young Master's cultivation technique has already reached the large success realm. This youth is only at the small success realm. How can the two be compared? With this, everyone was shocked. Even if their cultivation was the same, the Heavenly Sword Young Master's cultivation technique had the advantage. This Soul Sword secret art was known as the strongest attack cultivation technique in Central State, and the Heavenly Sword Young Master had cultivated it to the large success realm. How could the two be compared? What do you know? The Heavenly Sword Young Master only underestimated his opponent, otherwise this brat would have died several times already. The Heavenly Sword Young Master is a member of the Chu family. He has obtained an ancient sword cultivation technique. The truly powerful cultivation technique is not the Soul Sword secret art, but rather the inherited sword art. The Heavenly Sword Young Master did not use his finishing move, so the Heavenly Sword Young Master did not use his full strength. Even so, a casual slash could seriously injure him. Who is strong and who is weak can be seen with a single glance. A portion of the people who worshipped the Heavenly Sword Young Master immediately began to refute. These people were very reasonable. The Heavenly Sword Young Master was not a normal Chu family swordsman successor. He had obtained an ancient sword cultivation inheritance, so his true strength was not limited to this. You're all wrong. In the entire battle, you've all ignored the most important point. The Heavenly Sword Young Master has already released his source spirit, but what about that youth? In the entire process, he did not release his source spirit. With this, everyone turned silent. That's right, the youth did not release his source spirit at all. When they thought of this detail, everyone was so scared that they almost peed themselves. A person who did not release his source spirit actually blocked the Heavenly Sword Young Master's powerful slash? How was this possible? When a cultivator used their source spirit and didn't use their source spirit, the difference in battle strength was several times. The stronger the source spirit, the stronger the amplification. Even if that youth's source spirit was above average, it was enough to double his strength. If it was like this, he could completely block the Heavenly Sword Young Master's attack without being injured. But why did he not use his source spirit? Everyone had no choice but to accept this shocking reality. This was a heaven-defying youth. Who was he and where did he come from? In Central State City, everyone began to ask around. However, in the entire Central State City, there was no news of this youth and no one knew who this youth was. Ever since he fought with the Heavenly Sword Young Master, this miraculous person seemed to have disappeared into thin air. Chapter 125. Creating a sensation on the first day, this was not something Chu Tian wanted to happen. If his identity was exposed, he would lose this opportunity. It was a good thing Chu Tian did not use his source spirit. Just based on his abilities and characteristics, they could not lock onto Chu Tian's true identity. Of course, in order to not expose his identity in a short period of time, Chu Tian had paid a large price. That Chu Xinghe looked like he was proud of himself, but he was actually a cold and treacherous person. Chu Xinghe kept his promise and let the young man go. He even pretended to be magnanimous and let Chu Tian become stronger before challenging him, showing the Heavenly Sword Young Master's arrogant side in front of everyone. Actually, Chu Xinghe had let the young man go for a reason. That slash had condensed thousands of sword chi into needles and pierced into the young man's body. It was enough to destroy his meridians, and even if he didn't die, he would become a cripple. Chu Xinghe was confident in his own methods. He believed that the young man would become a cripple. So he pretended to be magnanimous and left. Chu Xinghe had miscalculated. Chu Tian's Netherworld Flame Sword was a combination of attack and defense, negating most of the power. The Starlight Glass Body's strong defense also reduced most of the power, so the sword chi was not even a tenth of its original strength. Chu Tian had tempered his meridians with the power of the stars for a long time, making his meridians very strong. It also had a high regeneration ability, so although it was a bit injured, it would not be destroyed. But it had to be said, this fellow really did have some skills. Even if Chu Tian hid his source spirit, did Chu Xinghe use his full strength? With Chu Tian's current strength, even if he used his full strength, his chances of winning were very low. Not to mention that they were in the same cultivation base, but Chu Xinghe's cultivation base was already at the peak fourth awakened soul layer. The Chu family? Chu Xinghe? Just wait and see. Even if it wasn't for the blood feud and shame of the original owner. Based on what you've done to me today, I'm going to vent my anger. Chu Tian was not a narrow-minded person, but he was also not a person who would suffer losses. Forgiveness was also different from person to person. Being severely injured by Chu Xinghe today was an insult to Chu Tian. Therefore, sooner or later, he would get his revenge and humiliate the Chu family. He just needed to give Chu Tian a chance. Chu Tian also understood the difference in strength. He could only endure for a while and wait for an opportunity. When his strength and influence grew, he would find an opportunity to get back at them. Let's go to the Zhongzhou City Market and see if there's anything useful. Chu Tian changed into a clean set of clothes and put on a bamboo hat to cover his face. He stuffed the little fox into his clothes and left the small hotel where he was temporarily staying. Chu Tian was currently weaker than Chu Xinghe. The main reason was because his cultivation technique was lacking. The Starlight Immortal Body was mysterious and strong, but for Chu Tian he was more interested in its effects in building his foundation. In the future, when he became stronger, this cultivation technique would be replaced by a stronger cultivation technique. Netherworld Flame Sword was the same. Chu Tian was limited by his current situation and couldn't find top-grade cultivation materials, so he couldn't practice a top-grade cultivation technique. This Netherworld Flame Sword had both offensive and defensive abilities, so it was the most suitable cultivation technique for Chu Tian right now. However, his cultivation was too low. Chu Tian urgently needed cultivation materials to increase his cultivation techniques realm. If he increased his cultivation realm with either of them, he would have the confidence to fight against Chu Xinghe at the same level. If he could increase his cultivation realm with both of them, Chu Tian would have the confidence to win against someone in the same realm. Central State City. There was a place called the Treasure Gathering Pavilion. This was the largest trading platform in the main city. The Treasure Gathering Pavilion did not belong to any family, but rather it was a large platform created by various large families. It contained several different kinds of heaven and earth treasures, with various large mercenary groups and families providing precious goods for sale. This was the first time Chu Tian had arrived. The Treasure Gathering Pavilion was a good place to go. The Treasure Gathering Pavilion looked like an octagonal palace. It was made from white jade, giving off a noble and imposing aura. There were 8 entrances and it was heavily guarded. This was the high-quality route. There weren't many goods, but the cheapest and lowest quality goods cost several tens of thousands of gold coins. It was enough to make an awakened soul cultivator find it hard to bear. When Chu Tian arrived at the center of the Treasure Gathering Pavilion, the goods displayed here shocked him. 1,000-year-old dragon blood grass, sold for 1.5 million gold coins. The dragon blood grass was a level 2 elixir. It only needed to grow to become an elixir. This dragon blood grass had been appraised and was around 2,550 years old. It had the quality of a Saint grade herb, becoming a half-step Saint grade herb. Although it had not become a true Saint grade herb, its price was still several times higher than an elixir. This herb being sold for a high price of 1 or 2 million gold coins was not expensive at all. Chu Tian looked around as he walked. The goods here were easily sold for millions of gold coins. There was no lack of things that were useful to Chu Tian, but the money he had on him had other uses. Unless he met something that would help him a lot, otherwise Chu Tian would not easily buy it. The crowd in front of him suddenly became noisy. Out of the way! Everyone out of the way! 100 or 200 guards kept the crowd at bay. 5 or 6 old men in white robes were leading the way, using a cart made of gold to slowly push a product covered in red cloth to the center of the Treasure Gathering Pavilion, stopping in front of a huge diamond display cabinet. Open the restriction! The old men began to chant at the same time. The diamond display case was opened and several people placed the item inside, suddenly lifting the red cloth covering it. When everyone saw this item, they all stared with wide eyes. It was a huge black rock with a diameter of about 3 meters. It was as black as ink and was made of volcanic glass, with a jumping green flame sealed within it. Elemental Source Stone. There were quite a few treasures in the Treasure Gathering Pavilion, but when he saw this item, Chu Tian couldn't help being shocked. This world was filled with all sorts of colors, and there was a strange life form called an elemental life form. Elemental life forms were different from flesh and blood life forms. Their bodies were made of pure energy, so their way of living, reproduction, and habits were all different from normal life forms. The elemental race did not have a difference in gender. Because of this, their method of reproduction was very strange. They divided their bodies and placed them in a safe container. This separated part did not have any consciousness, but after a long period of breeding, it would awaken a new consciousness, giving birth to a new elemental life form. The giant stone in front of Chu Tian seemed to be an elemental life form stone. This energy was dark, so it was most likely an elemental demon's descendant. This kind of thing mostly existed in the core world. It was rarely seen on the surface. He didn't know where Central State City found this one. At this time, the Netherworld sword began to violently tremble. The pure energy contained in the stone caused the Netherworld sword to resonate. Chu Tian instantly understood. This elemental source could nourish the Netherworld ghost flame and could restore the Netherworld sword's power. It was definitely enough to raise Chu Tian's Netherworld flame sword to the next level. This really was a good thing. Chu Tian had a bit of interest, but when he saw the price, it was like someone had poured a bucket of cold water on him. 5 million gold coins. Actually, this price was not high for an elemental source, but for the current Chu Tian, where could he find 350 gold coins? Damn! It was hard to find a treasure that could increase his strength and cultivation base, but he could only look at it without being able to buy it. This made Chu Tian very unwilling. 350 million gold coins was not a small amount. Chu Tian was confident that he could get his hands on it. The only thing that Chu Tian was worried about was that before he could raise the money, this thing would be bought by someone else. Wow! 350 million gold coins. It's just a broken stone. This is simply extortion. The surrounding people began to discuss this. There weren't many, but most of them were filled with surprise and complaints. There weren't many people who were interested in this thing. The elemental source itself did not have a high value and they didn't know what use it had, so most people were not interested in it. After discussing it for a while, they all dispersed. According to the rules, this kind of precious thing, if it couldn't be sold in a month, it would be taken back by the seller or it would be sold at a low price in an auction house. There was still hope. Chu Tian made his decision. He had to earn 35 million gold coins in the shortest amount of time and buy this thing. The treasure-gathering pavilion did not lack materials, but they were all very expensive. Chu Tian finally understood that this amount of money could not do anything in Central State City. Miracle commerce was developing very quickly. But it was not fast enough. If Chu Tian wanted to become stronger, he needed more money and resources. But at this time, a very special product immediately caught Chu Tian's attention. It was a large white jade-like bug that was half the size of a palm. Jade Spirit Silkworm. Jade Spirit Silkworm, born as a silkworm and died as a jade. This was a very precious and useful level 2 elixir. Spirit silkworms were creatures that ate herbs, so their bodies contained a lot of spiritual energy. When the spirit silkworm died and turned into a piece of jade, the spiritual energy would not be lost. Instead, it would be completely preserved and become a level 2 elixir that was very suitable for alchemy. This thing could directly increase one's cultivation. It would be a great help to Chu Tian. Chu Tian quickly walked over and asked, "How much is this jade spirit silkworm?" 200,000 gold coins. A young salesgirl saw Chu Tian dressed as a rogue cultivator and her eyes flashed with a trace of contempt. She emphasized, "The treasure-gathering pavilion does not bargain." This price was not too expensive for a level 2 elixir. 200,000 gold coins to a normal cultivator was a large sum of money, but it was nothing to Chu Tian. Chu Tian took out a stack of gold coin cards. Right when he was about to pay, a voice suddenly came from behind him. "I want this jade spirit silkworm." A young man directly treated Chu Tian as heir. He walked in front of the jade spirit silkworm and pointed at the treasure as he said, "Wrap it up for me. I'm in a hurry." When the salesgirl saw the other person's clothes and badge, her eyes slightly moved. She immediately became very enthusiastic. "So it was young Master Tong. Please wait a moment. I'll wrap it up for you." Chapter 126. This was a young man with a noble aura and behind him was a little girl. This little girl looked like she was carved from jade and was only 13 or 14 years old. Her eyes were evasive as if there was a trace of guilt. Chu Tian frowned. "I clearly bought it first. Why should I sell it to him?" "Did you pay?" The shop assistant looked at the card in Chu Tian's hand with contempt, revealing a disdainful look. "Since you didn't pay, then it's not considered a transaction." "According to what you said, he didn't pay either." The shop assistant was a bit impatient. "Young Master Tong's reputation is worth $1 million. Can you compare? Where did this nameless brat come from?" The young man said with a face full of ridicule, "Scram before I make a move. Why don't you look at yourself in the mirror? You don't know what kind of turtle crawled in the ditch. You don't deserve to steal from me." The little girl quickly pulled the young man's clothes and said with a mosquito-like voice, "Big brother, forget it. This time it's our fault. What are you afraid of? He's just a rogue cultivator. Although our family isn't a big clan, but pinching a rogue cultivator to death is as easy as turning our hand. Since some people don't want face and don't know what's good for them, then why should we give him face? You're about to piss me off." Chu Tian laughed and said, "This isn't rational." The young man raised his eyebrows and angrily said, "Who the fuck do you think you are? Come." Throw him onto the street. He didn't even finish. But Chu Tian slapped him across the face. The young man was thrown several meters away. His face was deformed and he spat out several broken teeth. What happened? With his peak 9th body refinement layer strength, he didn't even know how the other made a move. The shop assistant cried out in alarm. You dare hit young Master Tong. Someone is causing trouble here. The Jubao Pavilion guards hadn't arrived yet. Chu Tian was prepared to go up and stomp a few more times, but who knew at this time? You're not allowed to hurt my brother. The little girl grabbed a bag from her waist, and a large pile of lumps of wood flew out from it. What was shocking was that the lumps of wood changed shape in midair, unexpectedly turning into wooden bees. Each wooden bee structure was very exquisite, and an extremely powerful crystal was embedded in them. The detonation of these wooden wasps would inevitably produce a powerful destructive force. Chu Tian stood still, allowing the wooden bees to surround him. Chu Tian calmly looked at the little girl and said, "Are you going to attack me as well?" I. The little girl's face was flushed red, and her speech was not very fluent. Although she looked like she was carved from jade, she seemed to be very introverted. She did not like to talk and even stuttered a little. "I'm sorry. Big brother just wants to treat my illness." The young man covered his face as he stood up, his face filled with resentment as he looked at Chu Tian. "You think you're amazing just because you're an awakened soul cultivator? There are a lot of people like you in Central State City. To dare snatch something from my Tong family, I think you're tired of living. Little fish, blow him up." The little girl lowered her head sadly. "Forget it, take this medicine." The wooden bees all returned to the bag. The little girl grabbed the bag and turned around. "Big brother, let's go." The young man angrily said, "What are you doing?" "I bought this thing to treat your illness." The little girl shook her head and said, "We're late? Stealing other people's things is wrong." "Wait a minute." Chu Tian suddenly asked, "Did you make the mechanical insects?" The little girl was a bit shy, but when the mechanical insects were mentioned, her eyes lit up a bit. "It was made by little fish, but I didn't do it well." This little girl with a bit of a stutter was very talented in mechanical mechanisms. Chu Tian's heart skipped a beat as he said, "What's your name?" A large group of guards surrounded him. The young shop assistant pointed at Chu Tian and said, "He's the one who's causing trouble." The guards angrily roared, "Daring to cause trouble in the treasure-gathering pavilion? Brat, you're seeking death. Immediately scram for me. Otherwise I'll teach you a lesson." Chu Tian directly ignored this group of fiendish fellows. He looked at the little girl and said, "I can already see that you're not sick at all. It's just a special constitution, am I right?" "I'm called Tong Xiaoyu." The little girl asked in shock, "How did you know?" "I can help you cure it." Tong Xiaoyu's large eyes revealed a look of disbelief. "Really? Xiaoyu, don't believe him." The young man pulled the little girl behind him, his face full of caution as he stared at Chu Tian. "This person's background is unknown. Who knows what he's planning?" Chu Tian lightly said, "The decision is in your hands. You want the Jade Spirit Silkworm because you want to borrow the Jade Spirit Silkworm's ability to absorb energy and extract the dark attributed energy from Tong Xiaoyu's body, right? But this won't work. At most it can only alleviate the pain." The young man revealed a suspicious expression. "Can you really cure her?" Chu Tian spread out his hands. "How would I know if you don't let me try?" "Okay, then let's give it a try." Looking at this young man's appearance, he should be a rogue cultivator that had just arrived in the main city. At worst he would just fail the treatment. "If you can cure Xiaoyu, then we'll call it even. If you can't cure her, then don't blame me for being impolite." "Big brother," Tong Xiaoyu grumbled. The young man directly walked out of the gathering treasure pavilion. "Humph, let's go." This guy was a bit of a playboy, but he was also reasonable. When he found out that the person who slapped him could cure his sister's illness, he suppressed the anger and humiliation in his heart. He could be considered a rational person. Tong family residence. A dignified man sat in the main hall. Tong Yu's sharp eyes swept across these people, his eyes filled with dissatisfaction. "Tong Ming, Tong Xiaoyu, what is the meaning of you bringing an outsider back? Is the Tong family residence a place anyone can enter? Do you have any rules? The young man Tong Ming hurriedly said, Uncle, we met him in the Gathering Treasure Pavilion. He said he could cure little sister's illness, so I brought him back to give it a try. Nonsense. A teacup was smashed to pieces. When Tong Yu stood up, a strong aura was released. It was around the peak first awakened soul layer, but it was enough to make it hard for Tong Ming and Tong Xiaoyu to breathe. So many masters have been helpless all these years. Do you think a random cat or dog on the street can beat those masters? Do you even have a brain? Tong Ming lowered his head, not daring to say anything. Although the head of the Tong family was Tong Ming's father, Tong Yu's seniority was even higher, so he had a lot of prestige in the family. These juniors did not dare talk back. Tong Yu coldly said, Tong Xiaoyu will be married in half a month. You should understand how important this marriage is to our Tong family. The reason why those families in Central State City are giving our family face is all because of this marriage alliance. Don't cause any trouble at this time. Tong Ming helplessly said, Yes. Kick this person out for me. Chu Tian gave a cold laugh. Who do you think you are? You think I'll leave just because you tell me to? When Tong Yu saw that Chu Tian dared to talk back to him, he flew into a rage and said, A trivial outsider dares to cause trouble in the Tong family. Someone come. Break his legs for me. A group of Tong family guards charged forward. I'm afraid you have the ability. Chu Tian reached out his hand and was about to pull out the netherworld sword. Why is it so noisy here? A gentle voice came from outside the door. A scholarly-looking middle-aged man walked in. Big brother, what are you angry about? Tong Ming and Tong Xiaoyu's faces filled with joy as they shouted at the same time, Father! Bowen, you've come at the right time. Tong Yu coldly said, A swindler has infiltrated our Tong palace and is using the excuse of treating Xiaoyu's illness, but actually wants to harm us. How do you think we should deal with this matter? Tong Bowen revealed a shocked expression. What? Treat Xiaoyu's illness? You can really treat Xiaoyu's illness? Chu Tian nodded. It's not hard. Tong Yu wanted to say something, but Tong Bowen quickly said, Then let him try. We don't have anything to lose anyways. Tong Yu gave a snort. Alright, brat, I'll let you try. Chu Tian looked at the two of them in confusion. Who was the Tong family's head? Of course, he did not care about this question at all. Chu Tian had seen Tong Xiaoyu's talent in the mechanical fields, so he wanted to train her. Little fox, come out. A fist-sized snow-white fox lazily came out of his clothes and sat on Chu Tian's shoulder, using its little claws to yawn. Go! The little fox knew what Chu Tian was thinking. It jumped onto Tong Xiaoyu's body and placed its claws on her neck. It suddenly sucked in a deep breath. An incredible scene occurred. From Tong Xiaoyu's pores, countless traces of black aura came out. The pure dark attributed energy gathered together and was finally swallowed by the little fox. It stuck out its pink tongue sweetly, as if it was very satisfied. Then it jumped back onto Chu Tian's shoulder. Tong Xiaoyu revealed a look of pleasant surprise. I feel like I'm completely cured. Chu Tian shook his head and said, The dark attributed energy that has been stuck in your meridians for many years has been removed, but because of your physique, it will produce even more dark energy as time goes on. So, you must follow me for a while before you can be completely cured. Tong Yu flew into a rage hearing this. How can this be? Xiaoyu will be getting married in half a month. Chu Tian was puzzled. You're already in a rush to get married at such a young age? Tong Xiaoyu silently lowered her head. It was clear that this marriage was arranged for her by her family, but Tong Xiaoyu did not like it at all. It's impossible for Tong Xiaoyu to go with you. Tong Yu's eyes fell onto Chu Tian's shoulder. It was the little fox licking its claws, and his eyes revealed a trace of greed. To be able to instantly absorb the dark energy of an extreme physique, this little demonic beast was definitely a priceless treasure. But since this little beast can cure Xiaoyu's condition, you can leave it in the Tong manor. Chu Tian's eyes flashed with a cold light. I'm helping you for free, but not only are you not grateful, you want to take away my pet? Clean your mouth. Tong Yu waved his hand. I'll give you 10,000 gold coins. Leave this beast behind and then scram. How could there be such a shameless person? The little fox's fur stood up as it bared its teeth at Tong Yu. Chu Tian was a bit angry. What if I refuse? Refuse? What qualifications do you have to refuse? Tong Yu said with a cold smile, then leave your life behind. Tong Bowen's face became a bit ugly. How can you? Second brother, don't say any more. Tong Yu completely ignored his second brother and said with a face filled with greed, you can see that this little beast is very helpful to Xiao Yu. It's just a nameless pawn, so what if it's killed? What's the big deal? As soon as he said this, Tong Yu released his spirit energy and with a loud roar, he soared into the sky. His body was covered in the glow of his source spirit as he sent a claw at Chu Tian's head. Not even at the second awakened soul layer. What are you being arrogant for? Scram! Chu Tian pulled out the netherworld sword. A bright blue and white sword glow flew across the sky. Tong Yu gave a pitiful cry as he fell to the ground. His right arm had been cut off and he cried out, "No, my arm." That severed arm was covered in netherworld ghost flames and it quickly withered away. Even with powerful healing methods, it could not be reattached. You want to kill me with this little bit of strength? Chu Tian's palm slammed into Tong Yu's danton. I'll cripple you first. The demon god's sword source spirit's power instantly surged out and crushed all of Tong Yu's meridians. His spirit energy completely collapsed. Just a moment ago, he was a high and mighty peak first awakened soul layer cultivator. Now he was a cripple. Tong Bowen, Tong Ming, and Tong Xiaoyu were all shocked. The Tong family was a small family and Tong Yu had the highest cultivation in the family. Although he was not the family head, he was arrogant and even Tong Bowen did not dare offend him. They never would have thought. A peak first awakened soul layer cultivator could not even block a single move from this youth. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.